Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we have a really interesting one. This is a sort of theoretical, speculative effort at what control can look like. In a recent episode of the Eternal Durdles podcast, which I will link in the description below, that you should definitely check out, there was a big theory crafting session on what this deck should look like. You know, how do you build control in a legacy meta where control is really punished by the things that are happening? So the logic was having a deck that can operate on very, very low mana. So we don't need to, get to these 4 mana Jace the Mind Sculptors. We can play on a much smaller amount of mana. And in order to do that, we've had to change up how the thing looks, and we've gone for a very xerox heavy build, meaning lots and lots of cantrips. So this is Phil's list that was discussed in that episode. So there's lots and lots of cantrips, and we've got the predict for a bit of card advantage as well. And the idea is to have a win condition that, if we don't need it to be a win condition at the time, we can just turn it into another card. And that's where Ominous Seas comes in. So this is a 2 mana card that does nothing when you play it, but whenever you draw a card, you put a counter on it and you can remove 8 counters to make a guy. And you can cycle it for 2. So the idea is, if we have this early and we just need more interaction, ditch it, get some interaction, and we carry on. But then if we get a spot where we can play this, we've got lots and lots of card draw to leverage it. So it makes the Xerox plan work, and the whole idea is that the control deck wants the game to go longer, so you need a win condition that actually pays you off for playing a longer game, and that's kind of what Ominous Seas does. Now, Phil is obviously a renowned Miracles player who's been long suffering since Savannah Sensei's Divining Top, but this is what they've come up with, and we've got a whole bunch of removal: Plows, Pendings, Oust, which is one you don't see that often, but is a classic from back in the day, a Vanishment, and which can obviously deal with all sorts of permanents, and we have got a Terminus as well. We've got 4 Mystic Sanctuaries, so we can rebuy whatever we need to at the time. We've got Counter Suite, including Forces, Counterbalance, and a Thwart. This is bounce 3 islands you control to counter a spell. So again, we're operating on low mana, so we can actually afford to do this sort of thing. And like I said, we've just got a bunch of Xeroxy stuff. So my concerns with a deck like this is kind of the problem with the format in general in terms of control decks. It's very hard to play a control deck. Even the decks that are control decks now tend to have some sort of push a button, win a game type card. So the sort of Nardu Zenith deck, which is like a mid-rangey deck with control elements like Teferi, it's got Prismatic Endings, it's got Plows, it's got Forces. That plays a lot more like a control deck with a combo finish, but it has this button it can press to just win the game. Now we're trying to have that in the side without Monastery Mentor. Our opponent's not really going to be indexing for creatures, so if we board this in, we can hopefully get a bunch of creatures out of this and just win the game quite quickly. But that's sort of one of my concerns, that if we end up in control of the game, we need to find these Ominous Seas to actually win the game. And we can give our opponent more time. Now that does mean more time for us to have resources to stop them, but I am a little bit worried that we won't have enough ways to actually close the game out when we're in control. But hopefully we should be able to control games pretty well because our curve is very low, so it's going to be hard to be disrupted by anything like the Sowing Microspawns or Wasteland Days, that sort of jazz. In terms of the Ominous Seas, we only have 3 of them, which is obviously a very small number. We've got Argivian Find, which can put it back into our hand after we've already put it into the graveyard from cycling it. We've also got a Conjurer's Bauble, which we can use to just kind of make sure that we don't run out of cards, and this can also put these cards back in our deck. So yeah, really interesting. I'm not expecting this to break the world or anything, but it is interesting to try out some new stuff and see how the theory from that lovely episode, which you should definitely listen to, plays out in reality. As for the sideboard, we've got some Wastelands where we need these, like Eldrazi, or just, decks that have got a land that's going to be able to grind through what we're doing. So Dress Down is a nice sort of catch-all answer to a bunch of creatures. It can be useful against Doomsday, it can be used against Saga tokens. Mentals we've already spoken about. We've got a little bit of Graveyard Hate here, and just some other answers of varying flavours. 4 Consign to Memory, because I did mention that we're trying to make it so the Microspawn doesn't put us in the dirt, but it is still a very powerful card. We need to respect it and other Eldrazi, as well as being able to counter things like the One Ring, which is certainly something that can outdraw what we're doing here. So yeah, that's the list. I'm really curious to try it out. I'm not expecting us to get a trophy, but this is more about testing a concept in the real world and seeing how it plays out. And there's going to be a lot of learning from this, which is the sort of legacy I like to play. I like to play games where I can actually learn and develop stuff from it, instead of just being like, okay, yeah, this deck's really good. I like to play something that maybe needs some work, but then we can learn a lot from it. All right. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 5k subscribers before my birthday in April, so why not hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and become a YouTube member if you want to see my stuff early. All right, let's do some of Phil's Topless, Miracles, Control, Ominous Seas. I don't know. We'll think of something pithy for the thumbnail, I'm sure. All right, let's get into it. All right, we are on the play. We have 2 pieces of removal. We don't have any cantrips to really get going. Like, obviously, this is kind of a cantrip. It's not really where we want to be. Is just a couple of removal spells fine? I'm not really sure. We don't have a Surveil land, which is a little bit awkward. I understand the reason not to, because they can really jam you up. And the whole point of this particular exercise is to see if we can just keep up with tempo. We've already got these as our ends of battlefield tap. Do I want to have some kind of cantrip in here? Like, we could keep a 6-card hand that looks a lot like this and it's still the same. So I think I'm going to mulligan. So I would like to be able to kind of work towards something. Okay, so we have some stable mana. And we've got the cantrips to find what we need. I think this is better. And what goes away here? Probably the Vanishment. So we need a Brainstorm to turn that on. All right, our opponent's mulligan to 5 cards. That suggests to me that they're on the more busted combo deck side of things, looking for specific cards. Now, they could be any deck and they're just having a rough time. It happens to everyone, just statistically speaking. So I think we want to bauble them first so we can see what they're working with, so we know maybe what deck they're playing. A snow-covered mountain. That doesn't tell me the most. I don't know if the snow-covered matters. I would like a Source to Plowshares. I think it's good just to have removal. We don't need another counterbalance, but I'll take another Lórien Revealed. Just keep making land drops. So we can tutor for a... Oh, actually, we're going to get them all because of the Bauble, aren't we? Yeah. So we're going to tutor for a Plains here. Welder. Okay, so we're on Painter. So we can, if we don't want this counterbalance, which I don't think we do, we will cycle this in our upkeep. Go and get ourselves a Tundra. And then we can plow this. Do we need to plow this right now? We don't need to because there's nothing in the graveyard just yet. But we can plow it with something else on the stack. Our opponent doesn't run Wastelands in their deck. Okay, a Saga. Yep, that's good. They're going to attack us for 1. They are. I think we take this 1 and see if they play a creature in the second main phase. They did not. So the problem we have now is this Urza Saga is going to do a lot of work against us. Counterbalance. So we can go and get another Tundra and deploy a counterbalance. I don't hate that. We want to be searching for Prismatic Ending, but we don't need to search for it this turn. So I think we are cycling this. Do we need a Volcanic here just so we can do Prismatic Ending for 3? What would we need to do that on? Possibly like a Fraction Dragon Engine? I think we will get the Volcanic Island here. Is that true? Or do we save that? Because if we do need this... No, I think we'll get it. Our opponent's not going to mess with our mana base. Then we just jam the counterbalance here. Now our opponent is obviously a painted deck, so they're going to have Pyroblasts, which is going to be tough for us to get through. But counterbalance on 1 can always disturb that. So if they're just going into the Saga plan without any other artifacts, we've got a little bit of time. Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. We do not have an answer for this, but if we see what the card is, we can predict it on our next turn. Prismatic Ending. Okay, that is actually a card we want. So I don't really want to mill that card over now, which is awkward. So we could predict, get rid of the Prismatic Ending, but we do want the Prismatic Ending. That's the annoying thing. So I think we just have to take it. And then we're looking to ponder another predict. I like the Flooded Strand because it gives us access to a basic plains. So put predict on top. So we have a 2-drop on top if we need it. And if not, we can predict and try and get something else going. So the counterbalance on with the predict on top means that we can counter the painter. So it's going to be harder for them to just immediately kill us. But if they're just going for constructs and stuff, that is a different problem that we'll have to deal with when the time comes. But this one can't attack this turn. It's just 1 construct plus whatever they get out of this. They could get a Pith Needle and shut off our Strand. But that doesn't seem the best, to be honest. So we have a predict on top. We can just get rid of now. Alright, so now we also have this Brainstorm. We can keep this and use it like a counter spell. There's no point cracking this yet. This is going to get us a basic plains when the time comes. Okay, how are we getting through what our opponent's doing? We could Brainstorm looking for action. Or we could hold this Brainstorm as a sort of counter spell. I think we need to Brainstorm looking for some action, to be honest. We need to find a way to deal with what's in front of us. We'll put back these 2 lands. We'll keep this Counterbalance because it can turn into a blue card. Well, it is a blue card, but it can turn into a blue card for Force of Will, rather than just being this thing we don't want. So we already have enough of what we want there. We're not going to get a Mystic Sanctuary just yet. We'll just get this Plains. Then we'll play this Ponder. Brainstorm, Oust, Brainstorm. Okay. An interesting selection of things. And we'll sandwich this Oust. Plug this out as well. So we can go and get Meticulous Archive, Mystic Sanctuary, and put whatever we want on top. We've also got the Brainstorm that can do that. So we can certainly counter some stuff. And if we need to, we can Brainstorm into the Oust to kill this construct. I don't think that's where we need to be just yet. We can use our life total as a bit of a resource. What do they find? A Goblin Engineer. So if they play the Goblin Engineer, we can counter it by Brainstorming first. We can put this Counterbalance on top. And if they counterspell that, we can put the Predict on top with our Mystic Sanctuary. We are going to take a hit for 5 here. We do have a lot of mana to work with. So we're going to have to start firing off these Prismatic Endings on our next turn, I think. Let's go for a Brainstorm response. Okay, so what are we going to put back on top? We can put back an Ending and a Counterbalance. Counterspell the Engineer. So we can plow this Kiki Jiki, I think. We'll take the Prismatic Ending. Go this guy. And then I think we're settling in for a little bit. We're going to take a few more hits from this Shaman. And then hopefully we can find ourselves some Ominous Seas and start churning out guys. Although the fact that it's a blue permanent is going to be very bad in this matchup because it's very answerable from our opponent. They don't really need to respect it for a while either. Another Saga is annoying for us. A Goblin Welder. We don't know what's on top of our library. We can Brainstorm here. We can put back an Ending. Don't necessarily think we need this Sanctuary. I guess we don't need the Counterbalance either. Counterbalance and then Ending. Do I want the Prismatic Ending? I think I do want the Prismatic Ending. And then we can play this. We can put the Predict on top to get some more cards. Actually, we could put Lórien Revealed and just get more cards. But if we have to bounce stuff to the Thwart, we don't want that. So I think we do want the Predict on top. So there's a Counterbalance underneath the Predict. So when we draw the Predict, we named Counterbalance and we get more cards. And we can bounce our Mystic Sanctuaries, improve our card quality that way. Okay, these constructs are going to be big. And they're going to be somewhat troublesome. A Lightning Bolt. Targeting us. I think that has to be okay here. We can stop it. But things are getting certainly on the awkward side here. I don't think it's worth thwarting either. But we might have to thwart one soon. Just another bolt to the face, perhaps. A Grindstone. They can mill off the Predict. That's fine. If that's what they're spending their mana for, I can live with that. Because that means they'll have to use treasure tokens to make a construct. Right, let's Prismatic Ending away this Grindstone. Predict ourselves. Then we can Mystic Sanctuary, put back a Plow. And we can ponder into that Plow. I will take this Lórien Revealed afterwards as well. And we can Prismatic Ending away this Shaman token. We just need to preserve our life total now. And then we can Plow the Saga. If they've got the boots of going quickly, then we probably die here. Yeah, we're kind of just being soloed out by Azorious Saga, really. We got this Thwart that's unlikely to actually matter here, which is the sad thing. Maybe we should have counted that lightning bolt with it earlier. Okay, we'll leave this. I'd rather they get a Pithing Needle than they get boots of going faster. Come look at Lava Spur boots, I think they're called. You know the card I'm talking about. If they've got that in their deck, which you don't always see in these painted decks, but if they've got it in their deck, then they win the game here. Because we can only answer one creature. Alright, they do have the Lava Spur boots. Do we have any recourse here? I don't believe we do. No, we're just dead. Alright, not a great showing there. We killed a lot of their stuff, but we just kind of just got sowed out by Azorious Sagas. Which means I would like some Wastelands in my deck, please. I would also very much like this Dress Down, this Hydroblast. These Consign Memories are okay, but not amazing. Like, you know, they can do some work, but sometimes they won't do that much. So it's something I wouldn't mind having a couple of copies of, but I don't necessarily want all of. What do I feel about the rest of these things? ForceOfPhil, traditionally not great against the old painted decks, because they are just all the Pyroblast all the time. Let's maybe go a little bit lighter on those. I don't think our Ominous Seas is going to be very good in this matchup because of their Pyroblast, so I think we're going to board in the Mentor plan instead of the Ominous Seas. Are we replacing any of our lands with Wastelands, or are these going to be counted as spells? We don't need to Xerox quite as hard if we're not doing the Ominous Seas plan. And if we're not doing the Ominous Seas plan, we also don't need the Argivian Find. So we can probably lean off of some of these things a little bit. And we still want Prismatic Ending available. I can take out a Tundra here since we're boarding in some more lands. Don't want to take out too many lands though. Just one I think is fine because we still got the Lórien Revealed. Right, we've got a bunch of removal and some 1-for-1 interaction and drawing some cards. There's an argument for Surgical Extraction just to stop any graveyard shenanigans. Do I like that over the Baubles? Maybe I do. Baubles obviously let us miracle stuff. We're not big into miracles, we've only got a couple of them. Alright, we'll try this. We boarded quite heavily here. And we're going to need to find those Monastery Mentors, but we'll worry about that later. This doesn't have removal. It has answer to Azorious Saga. Has a little bit of counter magic. Has some graveyard stuff. I think this is acceptable. I'd rather not have this Vanishment, but I think we can keep it. At some point we'll find a Brainstorm, tuck this away, and we'll get 1 mana to put something on top of the library. A Goblin Welder. Sure. Just going to get ourselves a Tundra. A Brainstorm. Okay. I think we can just play out this Tundra and pass, hold up this Consign to Memory. Also got this Surgical Extraction. I don't really want to fire off a Predict here. We're getting Bash for 1. Get Bash for 1. There's a Saga. Yep, I hate to see that. We can stop at making constructs using our Consign to Memory if we want to. We can Let's Engineer hit. And then we can just exile whatever they go and get with our extraction. And then we can see their hand and work out what we need to be doing with the rest of our hand. We could have played Dress Down in response to let this go, but I'm perfectly happy to just take this one out. And then have some more information to work with. It's going to be the only copy in their deck, obviously. It's a Singleton. So they got Defiler in hand, that's good to know about. Research Desk, can they cast this Defiler? They need the Failure Mirror Breaker to cast it, is the question. Any Lotus Petals? There's 2 Lotus Petals. No mana source from the deck that actually casts it. So they need to get the Petal in order to do the Defiler stuff. We could Brainstorm right now. I think we can get deeper on our turn and do it that way. So not a very mana efficient turn for us, unfortunately. Wasteland. Absolutely love to see that one. So we want to put this on top. What do we want to put under it? We're probably not about Dress Down just yet, are we? Okay, so we've got Hydroblast up for their Failure Mirror Breaker if they find something like an Ancient Tomb here. We've got Consign to Memory against whatever else. Alright, so we draw the Vanishment this turn. And the top card of our library is Dress Down after this. We will put this Welder on top. We don't really want them tutoring for something else, but this is a guy that needs to not be summoning sick, and they just got like a bad 1-drop queued up to draw. So we can get rid of the Dress Down if we want to, and that gains us access to some additional cards. Or we can Hydroblast something spooky or Consign to Memory something. So we've got a decent selection of answers here. We are taking little chip shots because we don't have anything like holding the board for us. Just going to play the welder again. They are. So they've got one more welder in hand. I'm going to get rid of this dress down. Okay, we have an Oust. And we've got the ability to start putting stuff on top of our library and just really jamming our opponent up. I do like jamming our opponent up quite a bit. Okay, so I think we will just oust this guy now. And then we can mill over their Goblin Welder after this turn with the predict, since we know where their card is. So the current top card of our opponent's library is Goblin Welder. So if we don't need to do anything, we can just predict, draw 2 cards. A Goblin Welder. That's fine. Okay. Do we want to put any of these on top of our library? We can just like keep making them redraw the same card over and over and over again. We can just Vanishment them, but then we have to draw the same card. I don't really want to do that just yet. And we'll just untap. A Wasteland. Am I saving this for an Urza's Saga? That is actually the real thing I'm scared of. I think that is what we're doing here. We're just going to play out this counterbalance for now. We're now going to continue taking these chip shots from our opponent. Alright, we're just going to get a Pyroblast on this one. No, we're getting a Lightning Bolt to the face. Sure. Honestly, just like a Wall of Omens would be a fine thing to have in play. I guess they would just Fury it, but that would also be something we could interact with. Okay, so we're going to continue to take damage from this welder. But we do have the counterbalance up and running. We can put something on top if we want it. And Urza's Saga, this is what we saved the Wasteland for. They're going to play this Fable. We're going to Hydroblast it. We don't have any 3-drops in our decks. We're going to say no to this. Actually, no, that's not true. We do have a Monastery Mentor, actually. Can't target spell if it's red. Again, we continue to take damage that I'd rather not take. So we can get a Brainstorm and allow ourselves to Terminus. I don't hate that. Play this one out. We take one more hit from these little guys, and then we sweep them. Countering the Defiler isn't always going to be the easiest thing in the world for us, but they're a long way off of that right now. Right, here come the beats. It's a 5, which is importantly not double Lightning Bolt. Okay, do I want this Flooded Strand right now? Probably not required. We just have a bunch of removal spells. Do we really want all of these removal spells? We're putting Terminus on top. We could get rid of the ending. We don't need another one of those right now. Get rid of Terminus. Also quite far behind on clock here. Hadn't realised quite how far behind we were. Right, so we'll leave our graveyard out there because it's a zone we can access a lot. A Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, let's have a look what's on top of our library. It's the Prismatic Ending we knew about all along. Do I want to oust this? I think I do. Weirdly. Gives them a bad draw a couple of turns down the line. I don't think we're going to be able to win this match in time. But we're here looking to see how the deck feels, not necessarily trying to win all the games. Right. So they draw a card. The top card of the library is currently Simian Spirit Guide. Got a land. They're building up towards a Fury, but we can answer that. Find a Predict right now, then we can do some cool stuff. A Mystic Sanctuary. Just going to get this Brainstorm back, I think it probably is. No, let's get this Lórien Revealed, actually. This counters a Defiler. But I don't think they have red mana anyway, but some more cards going. So they're going to play out the little guy. We probably have to blow it up with their swords because our life total is so precarious. Just draw some cards. We've got a land here. I'll deploy it. This gives us more latitude to mess with these other things. We just need to find our win condition. Once we get the Mentor up and running, we can probably create a large number of creatures. We have the ending which can deal with the bridge if necessary. We just hold this Brainstorm as a counter spell. Just want to find a Mentor. Right, I will cast this Lórien Revealed. For more cards, please. Okay, we have 8 cards. Can't cast them all. We can try and ponder into a land here. I don't really want all these things, do I? We want the Flooded Strand, actually. Because we want to be able to go and get the Volcanic Island to deal with the Stone Bridge. But we have a lot of counter magic. We've got a lot of resources. I think we've found our spot here. Just give me a Fury. It is a Fury. Top card of the library will not counterspell this. So we say no, because the plan is to mentor and then plow this. We've also got Ponder on top, so we can just do some xeroxing with our mentor. Let's go with this guy. But always yield to these, because otherwise we're going to run out of time completely. Going to Ponder. There's a Volcanic we wanted anyway. So the instant speed removal. Right, we got counter magic. We can answer the Snaring Bridge. Just need to turn some guys sideways. Ancient Tomb. It's the bridge. We don't counterspell the bridge. Okay, it's just this guy. I can't remember what we put on top. Prismatic Ending. Alright, we're playing quite quickly because of our time constraints. Stone Bridge, that's fine. They got 2 cards in hand right now. Ending, target this. We need to go and get our thing first, don't we? Red, blue, white. It's gone. I would reply to my opponent because they're very polite, but we don't have enough time to reply to them. Plow this. So many triggers to put on. Right, it's a swing for 10. We might be able to kill our opponent next turn. Painted Servant. Let's see what's on top. I can't remember. Prismatic Ending. Okay, I will just hit this with a Consign. Next time we can just brainstorm and hopefully find another spell and probably get there. Too many triggers. This isn't actually very helpful, is it? We could have played the other counterbalance. I don't think it impacts us winning this turn or not. I'm going to Lightning Bolt us. Red Elemental Blast targeting the counterbalance. They're on 6. We just turn our guys sideways next time and we win. We've got a Force of Will to get there. You can have your Lotus Petal. It's going to be the Defiler. Just put all these triggers on the stack as quickly as we can. Alright. We got the game when our opponent conceded. Then we're not going to win this match. But we showed what the deck can do there. And a lot of that would be quicker in paper. So let's have another crack with this and see how we do. Santi's fine. I just want to see how this deck works more than try and win all the games. So we are going to be going slower and discussing things. We're obviously going to be trying to win the games, but we're a little bit shy on time here. I'm happy to just Prismatic Ending this guy straight away. We won't need to take any chip shots. I just want to see, like, hopefully we'll get enough turns in this game that we can work out how it may have played out. So they're going to play our Dragon Engine. It's kind of annoying, but we can plow it. Cycle. Get Tundra. Play Tundra. Plow this. Move on with life. No follow-up play from our opponent. This land is not for dealing with Ancient Tombs. It's purely there for Azorious Saga. Need to marshal your resources accordingly. Human Spirit Guide. Let's have a look what's on top. Monastery Mentor. Okay, maybe we can actually win this game. Who thought? Because of the amount of time we have, we are just going to slam it. Normally you want to set up and make sure it's protected, but we've got 2 minutes to win this game. So we've got to do what we've got to do. Hopefully we have like a 1-drop on top. Alright, there is the Saga. We will Wasteland that next turn. You see a Fury here, a Grindstone. Yes. Source of Plowshares on top. Oh, yes. We're doing it. Maybe we have enough time here. Get rid of the Saga. Go attacks. Crack in. We need our opponent to play spells we want to counterspell with this Consign. Otherwise our clock might be too slow. Mystic Sanctuary, I'll play this tapped. Just want more mana. Okay, opponent. What are you up to over there? Now we can play this counterbalance out this turn once we have the untapped Mystic Sanctuary just to get another guy. Which I don't hate. But it depends what we draw. A Lightning Bolt. Prismatic Ending. Don't mind if I do. Play this out to get a guy. We might be able to do this, you know. We had this one really long game that didn't go very well. And now we're Hopefully cruising. Painter's Servant. I did not hit it. We can remove this. 2 cards in hand. If they have the exact nuts, then we could be in trouble, but I don't think we are. I'm going to keep this in case I had a Fury to kill our guy. Can I plow this? A Pyroblast. We know the top card is Lórien Revealed. Oh, I've yielded through the turn here. Alright, that's fine. We didn't play our land that we wanted to play. Shouldn't matter too much. So we can play Prismatic Ending on our own counterbalance for not enough. Because it's intervening if clause. Just to pump our guys. Come on, Brainstorm. Help me out here. Find me some more cantrips. Not really what we wanted here. Brainstorm on top again. I'm playing quite slobby because we have no time left. We have the win here. Right. We can Brainstorm and we can Pending on something. I don't think we can do it in 5 seconds, unfortunately. Yeah, we lose this one. I think if we're a little bit quicker in game 1, we actually win this round. Because we have all the resources we need to beat them. And they've got nothing going on over there. So I think proof of concept kind of worked okay there. But we did get very lucky to find our monk when we did there. And I think winning the game is going to be a problem with our deck sometimes. The fact that our win condition is so easily hosed by our opponent's deck, like the Ominous Seas, is a little bit awkward. Alright, let's go to the second match. Alright, we can't keep this hand, so let's mulligan. Okay, we've got an early omen of... Ominous Seas hand. So let's see how this works. Do we want this Bauble or not? It is a free redraw. Maybe we can tuck the ending. I think in the blind I would much rather have a plow. I don't think we get to cast any ponder or anything this turn. I think this is purely get the Tundra. Let's see if we can just jam an early Ominous Seas and ride that. Obviously depends on the matchup, but we can have a look. A Noble Hierarch. If we naturally draw a land, I want to plow this. If we don't draw a land, I don't want to plow this. It's kind of awkward. I think I'm going to Island Cycle here. Like, we're not in a hurry to win the game. That's not what our deck does, as you may have noticed. I think we're just on more Tundras here. Okay, we did draw a land. So, what is the play here? Part of me wants to just get this Ominous Seas down before our opponent has much else going on. Like, they're a Euro deck. Maybe they have ForceOfPhil here. But we'll try this out. Now, if they spend cards on this, it doesn't really matter to us. Let's see what our opponent's working with over there. This also is any draw. Snow Complex. This is our draw for turn. We'll put a counter on this as well as the extra draws we're getting from all our cantrips and baubles and stuff. Brainstorm certainly ticks this up quite quickly. This does allow them to play something like a Nadu this turn. But they're tapping this for this, so it's not going to be that. Spell Seeker. What's our opponent up to over there? Let's find out. What are you going to get with the Spell Seeker? Ephemerate. Okay, we're doing that sort of stuff, aren't we? So we can plow the creature they ephemerate, which is likely to be the Spell Seeker. That's Brainstorm. We don't need all these counterbalances, do we? We could put a counterbalance on top, but we kind of want to crack this anyway. Maybe we're just putting counterbalance and this on top. And play this. I think we definitely want to plow this in response to the ephemerate. I don't think they're running a daze, but we'll keep hold of this land for now, because then we can plow around a daze if they drop an island. Seems unlikely they do. But the only thing it costs us is we're one turn behind casting this ponder. But I don't think that's a problem. This is just an 8/8. It doesn't have trap or anything. It's just a big thing that needs to be chump blocked. So they would like to surgically extract our Brainstorm. Okay. Weird to see that in the main. Not really something I care about happening. Yes, Brainstorm is a very good card in our deck, but we've already played it. It's not taking any cards out of our hand. Our opponent's just discarding a hand for free there. Sorry, a card from their hand for free. Main deck surgical extraction. They're doing something... Like, this is probably just a singleton that they can go and get with the Spell Seeker. So it makes some sense if they're like a 4-time Spellseeker Yori on deck. They're not expecting to draw this that often. There are a lot of graveyard decks at the moment. 8 Teferi. This really puts a cat among the pigeons for us, doesn't it? Because if we plough this, they just blink it. We could plough the Noble Hierarch, and if they want to save it, they have to. But yeah, this is bad news for us. They're just going to bounce our Ominous Seas as well. Yeah, this Ominous Seas is not a good win condition, I don't think. So our library has been shuffled because of that Surge of Extraction. So we don't know. We don't need to fetch to clear. They really should be ephemerating now. Well, not now. They should attack first and then ephemerate. Not that we can do anything about this. Oh, Teferi. Teferi is going to absolutely slaughter us here. Oh well, these things happen. But again, this whole league is a learning exercise about which directions we can push control and how much that is a good idea or not. Alright, so they get to ephemerate this. They've got another ephemerate coming. Comes back, bounces the Spellseeker. Orim's Chant. Okay, they're trying to chant lock us. Cool, a little bit rude, but it is what it is. We play out a counterbalance first. We plow this guy so they can't keep rebuying it. And then we can counter 1-drops by putting this plow back in our on top of our library. We can do that instant speed, which our opponent will not expect into action. Rebound. Are you going to bounce your Noble Hierarch so it can't make mana? Probably not. This just goes to the bin, I suspect. Sure. I'm not going to reveal to this counterbalance. Yes, we could maybe get some information about if we want to shuffle or not. But I don't want our opponent to know what they can and can't play this turn. An Eternal Witness. Do we have any 3-drops? We do not, do we? I will reveal, I guess, this time a Prismatic Ending. Okay, so they know they can't play the Ephemerate this turn. They're going to wait till we've drawn it and then Ephemerate their guy. That'll be an interesting line. The top card of our library is still the Prismatic Ending. You need to go to my draw step. This will not resolve. We could Prismatic Ending this and just be done with it. I don't hate that as a thing. Wouldn't mind pondering into something though. Force of Will, definitely not. Don't mind the Lórien Revealed here. Let's go and get this Volcanic. I'm kind of reluctant to kill this because I know that we can just go and get this and mess up their plan. So I kind of want to just play this Ominous Seas again. And just force our opponent into interacting with it. Because they're plus Teferi, they would have to kill Teferi to bounce it. It just will slowly tick up and be annoying. They could have a pending of their own. And Ephemerate. Let's get this Mystic Sanctuary. Let's put this plow on top of our library. Counter their Ephemerates. Alright, that's a pretty nice exchange for us there. Walked into our little cunningly constructed trap. We're doing a little bit better with our clock this game as well. A Brainstorm directly into the thing they know doesn't work. Why did I... Oh, I misclicked there and let them... Oh, my... Oh, I rolled a 1 on Dexterity. I was meant to click yes to counterspell this, and I didn't. Weird. What's wrong with me? Should just counter that Brainstorm, but no. They're going to play another 1-drop into it. That'll be funny. An Ice Fang. So this won't counter it this time. Trying to play quickly to make sure I don't go low on time. And making little errors is awkward. So we can Prismatic Ending away this Teferi. And then that unlocks a plow on top of our library as well. And I fetched but didn't do anything afterwards. We're getting attacked. For 3. Red, white and blue. Let's get rid of this Teferi. Turns our plow on as an instant speed thing we get to do. Right, doing a Force of Will. We don't know the top card of our library. It could be our own Force of Will. A Mystic Sanctuary. Not the one we wanted, unfortunately. Okay, so I'll play this one out. I think we're just going to get this Lórien Revealed back on top of our library at this point. I think we've entered that stage of the game. We could have done this first to stop the Force of Will happening, but I didn't know if that's necessarily where we wanted to go with that one. Let's just plow their Witness. So they can't loop that and do annoying things. If they use their Teferi up to get rid of our Ominous Seas, that gets rid of it. We're going to take a jab for 2 off of the Ice Fang. But that's fine. We don't have any plays this turn, so we can just F6 and then deal with our counterbalance trigger if it happens. I don't think they're going to cast a 5-drop into it. We put Lórien into hand. We've got another... Okay, Lórien into hand. No additional Eternal Witness or anything like that. Right, in comes a little snaky bird thing. Let's hope I don't have a Force of Will. Or a Force of Negation or something. I do have a Force of Will. So we are getting a 2 for 1 out of this. I will reveal on the... It's the Mystic Sanctuary you knew about before, wasn't it? So that's why they put their Lórien into hand. So on our next turn, we can play the Mystic Sanctuary, pick back up the Lórien Revealed, take another hit for 2, and then try and draw 3 again. Green Sun Zenith X equals 2. This is instant speed because of Teferi. We know this will get countered by the top card of our library because we have a 0-drop on top. And this is a 3-mana spell on the stack. Keen-Eye Curator. That makes our Mystic Sanctuary pretty bad. So they attack us for 4 this turn. Can they remove enough stuff to attack us for more? We got here. There's no creatures, is there? There's instant, sorcery, land, artifact because of our Mishra's Bauble. Okay, so we get attacked for 8 this turn. We draw nothing and then we die, yeah. Our opponent wins this game. Alright, very poor showing for Ominous Seas again. Awkward. So, I would like a Pyroblast. I think that's a given. Not really sure about the rest of the things we have going. Like, we could dress down in response to some of their, like, enters the battlefield stuff, and that's fine. I certainly don't hate it. I'm not really into Vanishment here because all of our opponent's stuff looks like it's trying to get advantage when it comes in, so bouncing a draw spell on top of their deck doesn't seem the best to me. Do we want these forces? Not particularly. We need some of them, so we'll trim on that a little bit. We could go into the Wasteland town, or we could try and up our threat count with Monastery Mentor. I think those are the 2 options we have. Consign Memory can counter some of the triggers in their deck for sure, but it might not do anything if they have a Teferi. So we really need to fight over that Teferi. Maybe we do need the forces just to fight the Teferi. We've got the blasts. Do we need this Oust? They do have some creatures. Alright, I'm going to trim a couple of Baubles for a couple of Mentors. Just have a slightly higher threat density. That allows us to pressure Planeswalkers. Okay, I can keep this. I don't believe our opponent is going to be taxing our mana base. I don't think they're going to play anything super scary on turn 1 either. So I think we're just going to play it safe just in case they do have like a Life from the Lone Wasteland package. So we can... Well, we don't want to Brainstorm on turn 1. It's a little guy. So we get to oust it. This is a good target to oust. It's quite a good tempo play. Because I don't really want to be drawing this in a couple of turns' time. So we'll play our Tundra. Cast this Brainstorm. Probably put back a Flooded Strand. Okay. Guess we don't need this other ending. Put this one back for now. Crack this, get Tundra. Let's oust this guy. So now they're going to have to spend their turn 3 drawing a 0-1 guy. It means they can't play turn 2 Teferi, which is obviously one of the scariest things their deck can do in terms of what we're looking at. And we can now mill off this Hierarch if we want to draw 2 cards. We could do something interesting. I think I just want to get the cards now. I was thinking we could do something interesting and bauble them after we see the Hierarch. I'll take my draw 2 where I can get it, please. I'm not going to play out this bauble because we're going to use it for the Mentor. So we can just guarantee ourselves at least one little friend. Our opponent is fetching basics a lot. Maybe we should be looking towards having some basic lands. When we started on Tundra, we kind of had to get a second Tundra so it can be wasted off of a colour. Carpet of Flowers. That's going to give them a lot of mana. Do we fight over the mana here? We do have the ending for it though. We can let them have one turn of carpet mana and then we can pending this. Would love to draw another mana source so that we can get access to Mentor, Pending, and Bauble as a nice little turn. I assume they're going to add some mana in their second main phase. Or is this going to get Brainstorm? I don't think I care enough about that. Like, it's good, but I don't think it's worth us burning a ForceOfPhil on. Can you find a land? We cannot. Right, this is a spell we want to resolve, so let's see if we can do this first. Just okay, so I didn't know if we were going to have to burn our Brainstorm there or not. I think this time we're going to get a basic island, just in case things go a bit weird. I think I'm going to deploy the counterbalance now. We are ahead on clock right now. Not by much, but we're doing it. A Brainstorm. I am happy to see if we can counterspell this for free. Swords to Plowshares counters it for free. Very nice. We can power this guy if we want to. Again, I just really want more mana here. We need to be able to mentor and do stuff at the same time. There don't have any white sources at present. Dryad Arbor. I think I'm going to deploy a mentor now. Just get one guy. We've got Force of Will to protect it if that's the sort of game we want to be playing. So we can use this to see the top card of our library before showing something off to our opponent. Green, green. We're going to see a Keen-Eyed Curator, perhaps. Nope. Green, green, and 1. Is this going to be a Zenith? Zenith for 3 is not the easiest thing for us to counterspell, because we only have one mentor left in the deck that does it. A green sun Zenith X equals 1. This is something we could counterspell. Let's have a look at top card of our library first. Swords to Plowshares. Okay, so we can't counterspell this. So what is it going to be? X equals 1. That's going to be a hierarch, isn't it? We can just plow that. So this is them wanting white mana. We draw this plow. We draw something else we can cast, maybe? Another Monastery Mentor. Okay. We plow this. This is something our opponent will fight over, given the opportunity. Let's see if our opponent blocks here. Because we can plow, we can brainstorm over the top. Right, just going to take it. I think saving this brainstorm as a counterspell is more important than just trying to develop another land here. We're supposed to be a low land count that we need in play. Try and do that xeroxing life. They found a land, but it doesn't make white mana. Okay, they got Lórien in hand. We can deal with that when the time comes. That's worth a little Force of Will, I reckon. What do we got for us this time, deck? A Prismatic Ending. Can't really... Alright, I think I am going to Brainstorm here. We just need to get these monks connecting. Now, we've got a tempo advantage here. Our opponent's got a bunch of cards in their hand. I wouldn't mind having a Mystic Sanctuary here. Don't really want these other cards. Have we got Ponder? No, we've got Predict though. Let's put them like this. And I'll deploy this Mystic Sanctuary. And I'll put this Predict on top. So Tundra is going to be the card we predict away. No, it'll be the planes we predict away, won't it? They can try and trade both of these off, but that won't work very well for them. So I'm just going to take it. So they can't cast 2 drops this turn. Just getting the Lórien in. This is worth a Force of Will to me. If they answer it, then we can plow it out of the way if we want to. The Eternal Witness doesn't get very much back. It's just a Brainstorm or a Noble Hierarch. Neither of those particularly bother me. Go on with the Lórien. A Solitude. Pitchcast Solitude. It's the Predict I knew about. So we're going to lose our Mentor. But we've already got enough guys that shouldn't be a problem. And the top card of our library should be the Plains. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Alright. I remembered the things I had on my deck correctly. Prince on 10. So let's ponder here. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, so if we just plow this guy, we should be okay. Alright, our opponents had enough. They knew about this plow in our hand as well. And they need to value their time. Okay, that worked pretty well. The white mana looked a little bit sketchy, but they have all these basics, so I still don't think I want to board in the Wastelands. I think I'm happy just to send it again. Alright, Island Ponder, that's not a bad start to the game. This Thwart may come in handy later on. It's an interesting one because, unlike ForceOfPhil, it isn't card disadvantage, but it's harder to get it to actually work, and can sometimes be advantageous with bouncing Mystic Sanctuaries. So it doesn't work in the first few turns of the game. Okay. They got some mana underneath them. Let's get Ponder going. Prismatic Ending I like. Not about the Sanctuary right now. We can shuffle that away next turn. I like the other two cards though. It doesn't really matter which order we put them on top. Our opponent isn't impacting our hand. Next turn we can go get Tundra. We want to have multiple blue for things like Counterbalance. A Brainstorm. Sure. So no to Ferry. That's pretty good news for us. Another Hierarch. And we're going to get attacked for 2. Powerful Hierarch beats. Not attacking. Am I holding up the Pyroblast here? Am I playing Counterbalance? Am I ending? I don't think I'm ending. Let's have a look what our opponent's working with, actually. Actually, no, we can... if we're doing it this way, I think we're better off just getting a Tundra and playing the Counterbalance, getting that down early. If our opponent wants to answer us, they have to spend 2 cards, because they have to ForceOfPhil it. Actually, no, they could Spell Pierce. We haven't seen these Spell Pierces from our opponent's deck. Right, we're just in with the Counterbalance. We can check our own library here. We've just shuffled, so we don't know what's on top. A Caracas. Not a card that matters to us. You're attacking with no Hierarch this time? I wonder why they didn't attack last time. It does suggest that maybe they had... I don't know, like, what 1 mana interaction would they really want there? They're not going to fire on Counterbalance. Because Plow, we can't play the Mentor on 2 mana. Going to put Lórien into hand? They are, okay. So you're telling me they've got a white card. I'd like to see what our opponent's working with. Flusterstorm, that's good to know about. Lórien Revealed, another Lórien Revealed. Okay. If our opponent has mana, they can Yorion and Fluster. I could just nip that in the bud by just getting rid of one of these Hierarchs right now. I think that's worth doing. This way, if they have a land, it's not Yorion and then also defend. So I don't really want to have to Thwart in this time because we'll end up with no lands in play. If they just smack down this Yorion, we can go Pyroblast. Well, we can see if the top card of our library is useful for us first. I suspect... Are they really going for Yorion here? Even though they got this Flusterstorm to protect it. Right, let's see if we got ForceOfPhil on top first. Oh, we did have a ForceOfPhil on top. Oh no. I'm so sorry, opponent. I feel bad about that one. Alright, I don't mind sitting on this ForceOfPhil for now. I'm going to cycle one of these. I'd like another Tundra, please. And then we're going to start chaining these Lórien Reveals together. Attack for 1 opponent. Alright, attacked us for 1 and now it's our turn. So we play this out, we just get... Yeah, if we try and Lórien Revealed here, we're just going to get met by this Flusterstorm, but that's honestly okay. Oh wow, I didn't care about it. Okay, cool. We are very gassed up now. We need a win condition, otherwise we're just going to get pecked to death by this, but we did board in 2 additional win conditions, so I believe we're odds on this game at this moment in time. We also have time on our side. I've improved my pace of play a lot since round 1, which I think we could have won if we played with a better pace of play. But only because we found the Monastery Mentor right at the start of the game. I don't really want to cast this other Lórien Revealed. Just an orange chant. Sure. A counterbalance. Don't really want to draw a counterbalance. could shuffle. Yeah, shuffle it away. Mystic Sanctuary. And then we can just put the Lórien Revealed back on top if we want to. Let's get a Prismatic Ending. Deal with their guy. This also counters all their Brainstorms and stuff for a turn if we need to. No Brainstorms, no Ponders. That was a really weird use of the chant. Like, I understand our opponent is very much under the gun here. And they're not having a wonderful time. That did seem not ideal. Just get rid of this. Let's have a look at our... okay. I'll pay this. See if Flusterstorm does its job. Sorry, Counterbalance does its job. I predict. Oh, that's actually very good to have. I will pay for this Flusterstorm. Ephemerate. I see. Just say no to that one. Weird thing to be fighting over. I got another one. Sure, you got it. I don't even think we should have fought over the first one, to be honest. I'm just bullying at that point. But I kind of wanted to spend a bunch of resources so that we could then just gas up again with another Lórien Revealed without having to discard a bunch of cards. Top card of our library is still predict. Something big is happening. 4 mana. Is this a Green Sun Zenith? So we have a predict going on right now. So we know this won't counter this. So we say no to this. What can I get for 3 mana? Probably a... Alright, I think we're going to thwart this. So we're going to draw predict. And put Lórien Revealed, or we can put ForceOfPhil or whatever on top. And Revealed on top. Okay, and if our opponent wants to play something out, we can just draw a bunch of cards. If we have to ForceOfPhil here, then we have the gas up again. Our opponent's got 4.5 minutes left. We got 7. I feel this is going to be a very long league today. In comes a tiny creature. Well, we've got hardcast ForceOfPhil up. Not a bad place to be. Counterbalance X equals 4. That's just on top of our library. Like, our opponent's pretty locked out of this game. Play this. Put this ForceOfPhil on top. Draw some cards. Now we have to go to cleanup. And we can probably just bin this Terminus. We can always go get it back in a bit. Doesn't feel like I'm losing this game, but also we're a long way from winning the game still. We haven't got anything that resembles a win condition. Put the Thwart on top again. This Noble Hierarch has dealt us like a solid, like, what, 8 damage? Draw a card, we can go and put another thing on top of our library if we want to. And we'll pass. So we can counter 1-drops, 5-drop. Oh, something's happening here. A Solitude. We could just go and put a Lórien Revealed on top of our library. Good old counterbalance game in. And would you look at that? We managed to counterspell their thing. We've got hardcast Force, hardcast Thwart. The reason we wanted to thwart is so we can pick up these sanctuaries and keep doing our thing. Honestly, I don't care about this. If you want to spend your time brainstorming when you're behind on clock, I'm okay with that. I'm not sure what they can have that gets through these enormous shields that we've set up for ourselves. Dryad Arbor. I'm just getting some guys. We might have to start firing off some win condition, firing off some card draw to find some win conditions. We're nearly halfway through our deck without finding a win condition. We only have 5, but that's, you know, that's like 1 every 13 cards or whatever. I'm going to take 2 damage from this Dryad Arbor. There's a lot. And then Green Sun's... Okay, found a Monastery Mentor. Now we can play the game. It's over. Let's plow that guy. Always yield to my triggers, please. We just want to not die to clock here. We're very in control if we just hold up our spells. Plow this. I think we will have the damage to win this game in time as well. A surprise Supreme Verdict. Seems unlikely. Wrath of the Sky. Let's see what the counterbalance does for us. And Force of Will here. Counterbalance, counter target spell if it's blue. Hit this. We've still got Thwart on top of this as well. That's a stack and a half, isn't it? Alright. We got the match. Yeah, a bit of a slog. These games are all a bit of a slog. I'm really feeling the lack of easily accessible win conditions in our deck in terms of our time constraints. If our opponent was a bit quicker, then maybe we were struggling a bit there. Because they weren't doing anything, but they were taking time on their clock. Alright, 2 rounds in, let's go to round 3. Nothing to really start the ball rolling here. But we've got a little bit of removal, we've got some card draw, maybe that comes up. We've got a counter spell, we've got a cycle. I'm okay to keep this. We do start off on the plains. Maybe that walks our opponent straight into a Force of Will, because they're not expecting blue. But it just protects us from the Wasteland until we can have the mana to at least cycle this and get deeper. Or we can cycle the Predict. Although when the Predict is just draw 1 card, it doesn't feel great. You really want to get the double draw off of it. Especially if you can mill off something you don't want off of a Brainstorm. An Underground Sea. Alright, could be a real tester this time around. Do I think my opponent can beat an Omen of the Sea? Ominous Seas here. I'm tempted. I'm real tempted. Let's just jam this and see how it feels. I don't think we force to protect this. But if this gets like a 2 for 1, even a 1 for 1, it's not the end of the world for us because our deck is supposed to be... Alright, that is an Entomb. We do not want that to happen. Are they going to daze us now? No. Okay, we're in. We're in. So this is a blue-black Reanimator matchup. There's a little bit of wiggle room in terms of what the exact deck list looks like, but it is very much a graveyard-centric deck these days. The tempo plan is not great. Like, the deck is still phenomenal and arguably the best deck in the format, but it is not Psychic Frog levels of tempo goodness. Not a big fan of the second Entomb. That isn't the one, is it? Oh, they got Reanimate as well. Alright, I'm pretty sure we lose this game. There's too much to come back from. Our ending isn't going to be great for this. Okay, so revealed a bunch of cards. What are they going to keep? There's 2 borrowers, they can't keep both. There's only 1 sorcery, so they're going to keep this Thoughtseize, they're going to keep the Troll, they're going to keep the land. Actually, no, there's 2 creatures actually. There's a borrower. They might take the borrower over the Troll. So we went Borrower, Entomb, Scalding Tarn, Thoughtseize. Borrower, Entomb, Scalding Tarn, Thoughtseize. We might be able to beat that. It's possible. We need to Brainstorm into a Plow here. Wrong white removal spell. I'll take an Oust as well. Alright, Brainstorm, be good to me. Okay, so we found some of the things we wanted. So I guess we put Ending and then Terminus on top. Let's plow this. I think we have to force this through. If they have a force of their own. We're going to daze. Right, no, we're just in. Okay, okay. I'm feeling alright with this. The borrower can obviously bounce our Ominous Seas. Or can bounce the tokens. Like, this card is not doing it for me. I think we knew that going in. This was going to be a tall ask. We're entombing in the upkeep. Say no to entomb. That might have just been to shuffle off of something. No, they didn't know it was on top actually, so that wouldn't have been to shuffle. Thinning the deck so they didn't draw the stuff they didn't want. Ponder. Would love to see one of those on myself. Right, the seas keeps ticking up. Okay, we got nothing here. We got another ending on top. So we put the Terminus there in case things went wrong. We at least had a safety valve. Because then we would take 7 from the Atraxa. And then maybe they play something else like an Archon. That's 10. We have to kill at that turn. we find a Brainstorm, we can start making some Krakens or Octopuses. They are Krakens. Okay. Thoughtseize. Alright. Goodbye Terminus, maybe? Well, the ending doesn't look great on this board. Alright, let's hit the ending. Obviously the Terminus needs something to work. Otherwise it's just a dead card in hand, so I can understand taking it. They probably have to assume we have a third colour. There goes our Ominous Seas. Are we just replaying it or are we cycling it? The top card of our library is not great. I think we're just playing it, as awkward as that is. Right. I wonder if it's better just to bounce the... Alright, another Entomb. I was going to say, I wonder if it's better just to bounce the token. Because the chance of us making 2 tokens seems like a bit of a pipe dream, doesn't it? Animate Dead onto Grizzlebrand. Alright. We don't get to see what they draw of this, but if they have a Force of Will, we're almost certainly dead. They discard a rich bounty of things. Alright, so we've drawn another card that doesn't do anything. We might as well play this out because it's not going to take long for our opponent to kill us given this situation. We need to Brainstorm into putting the Terminus on top, have it resolve. We're only taking 6, but our opponent is drawing so many cards. I'm really liking the builds of Blue Bat Reanimator with the Grizzlebrand in. Seems like people are more adept to beating the Atraxa Archon plan, whereas the Grizzlebrand is like, okay, can you beat 14 of my best cards? Whatever. Probably not. Like a quarter of the deck just goes straight into the hand, and that's too much to beat. There's a Troll, so we are dead next turn. Maybe we'll draw a mystery second Terminus that isn't in our deck. Plow keeps us alive for a turn. Oh, we got nothing. Okay. Our win condition did not do very much. Maybe we should have cycled this instead. I don't think the 1 extra card we get there helps us in that situation, though. Surgical Extraction. This seems like a card that we want access to. Dress Down is okay. Can buy us a turn against some of the scary monsters. Can stop the Atraxa draw, which is kind of clutch. Pyroblast kills Atraxa if we want that. The Oust is okay here as well. I do not think the endings are particularly exciting. Am I getting rid of all of them? I don't know if I want to get rid of all of them, because our opponent's probably boarding in some Barragoyfs. I wouldn't mind having a little bit of access to killing Barragoyfs. I don't think we need this Conjurer's board. I don't think we're paying 1 mana for cantrips here. That seems a bit steep. Alright, so I guess we're trimming one of these baubles. I don't think we actually need all these baubles in our deck. Okay. We'll try this. Problem is we control the game a little bit, but then eventually our opponent gets to draw stuff. And if what they're doing is powerful enough, eventually they get to put it in play. Unless we've got like a really crazy setup like we had against the painter deck where we get so much stuff in play they can't do anything. Or so much stuff as a resource we get to use. Okay, we can stop the first attempt. We can plow something if it gets through. We've got some tools that do some stuff. We want our opponent to mulligan really low, so they just have 1 go at sending it that we stop. Unlikely to happen, but this does not seem like a great place for us to be. They also get some really nice things like Thoughtseize that can just jam us right up as well. There's an argument for playing Tundra there, just in case something slips through and we can plow it. But we also don't want to get caught out by a Wasteland, so I think it's correct to play it cautiously. Alright, our opponent is just surveilling. Are they going to surveil a monster in? No, they're keeping it on top. Alright, we'll keep some mana available. I didn't cycle the Lórien Revealed in case we draw some more Force of Wills, and we drew more Force of Wills, so not bad. We can cycle one of them. Thoughtseize. This is fine. Right, it's going to take our whole hand to deal with whatever our opponent has, and then we're going to have to try and pick up the pieces. But it's better than not having anything. We're probably going Vanishment and 1 Lórien Revealed as our blue cards, although they might take a Force. Right, it took the Plow. Very nice find. I'm going to cycle this. I'm going to get a second Tundra. Do not want to be wasted off of white. So we've got double Force of Will plus Surgical Extraction here. I feel confident we can beat an attempt. and Entomb. Sure, you can have this Entomb. I think they're surprised that's resolved, but I believe our Surgical Extraction will work here. And we have 2 Force of Will to make sure that's the case. If they have another Thoughtseize, then that's obviously a little bit awkward for us. Maybe they think we're going for the countering their payoff rather than the enabler. We drew a Surgical. Good times. So we get rid of the one in the graveyard. There's no other ones in here. What do we have big creature wise? We have got 1 Grizzlebrand left. We've got 2 Doughty Voidwalkers, 1 Orcish Bowmaster, 2 Brazen Borrowers, 4 Troll of Khazad-dûm, 2 Barragoyf. So 11 other threats. Oh, and plus the cards they have in hand as well. Alright. But we got 2 for 1 with that Surgical, sort of. Well, yeah, it was 2 for 1, actually. Entomb plus Reanimate. Here comes the Ponder. They got this Arcane of Cruelty just wasting away in their hand. This is good news for us. But we need to find something here. How many different mana values they have? 2. So this Tainted Indulgence is just going to be draw 2 and discard 1. It will discard the Arcane of Cruelty, which is no joke, that's for sure. They shuffle off the Ponder. A Mishra's Bauble. I'm going to fire this off now so that we don't get Orcish Bowmastered, or we're less likely to get Orcish Bowmastered. Alright, so they have a Ponder on top of their library. Not casting the Ponder at just an instant. It is. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're waiting to cast this Tainted Indulgence at instant speed. Right, so now we're into the Mystic Sanctuary phase of the game. Let's see what they got on top here. Force of Will. Okay. I will Force of Will this Tainted Indulgence because it's going to get rid of the Archon. So it's kind of like Force of Willing an Entomb that fixes their hand. Okay, we can put Force of Wills on top if we want to. We can put a Surgical Extraction on top. Okay, we've drawn another Force of Will. But we know our opponent has a Force of Will. So Ponder. I would just like some more mana. I don't really want to put something on top of my library. I just want to draw the lands. So if we can draw a land, then we can put something good on top, like another Lórien Revealed, and just send the Lórien Revealed, which forces our opponent to 2 for 1 themselves with the Force of Will. We kept off the Ponder. Land, 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 land. We did have a land. Interesting. We need to crack this one first. If we put a Mystic Sanctuary on top, and I'll put this Swords to Plowshares on top. I'll put this Mystic Sanctuary, and I'll put this Lórien Revealed on top. Then I'm going to cast this Lórien Revealed. Our opponent has to 2 for 1 themselves if they don't want us to draw these 3 cards. And then we have a Lórien Revealed to then cast next turn, and so we're kind of just in the value train right now. Sure, this isn't where we fight. We don't just want to get randomly reanimated on. But top card of our library is a Lórien Revealed, which should hopefully draw us a land and the plow. So we've got some good stuff going for us here. Our opponent's got 4 cards in hand. One of them is a mystery. Cycling a Troll. Okay. So next Mystic Sanctuary, you can get back the Surgical, perhaps. Alright, milling over with the Surveil. They're going to keep it. They're not. Okay, it's just a land. So now we get to send it again. So what did they exile? They did exile the Borrower, didn't they? A land is what we want to draw after our Lórien Revealed resolves. Just so we can keep this plow up. You got another force? No. Okay, so we have this. I'm just debating if we want to plow or just have another Lórien Revealed. I think we just want another Lórien Revealed, or we can go and get the Surgical Extraction if that's what we need to do. But we're not really bothered by this troll. But if we strip all the trolls out, then all of a sudden our opponent's only got 5 threats in their deck. A Barragoyf. Sure, we can answer that. What we do is, in the upkeep, we plow this. If this doesn't resolve, then we can get back the plow or whatever. Okay. Then we're going to get the Mystic Sanctuary. Get back this Lórien Revealed. This stage of the game feels pretty good for us. Alright. I'll play this land out. Represent plows and whatnot. So we have double Force of Will up. We can Brainstorm into Predict on our next turn to draw more cards. We can just Lórien Revealed next turn. Just keep drawing the cards. We'd love to find one of those silly little enchantments right now. What do we want here? I think we can Lórien Revealed. If they've got a Bowmaster, we've got loads of interaction for it. More cards? You got that Bowmasters? You can plow it. And Entomb. Do I care about Entomb that much right now? No. It's going to be the Grizzlebrand. Got a land here. We've got double ForceOfPhil and Plow. I'm going to start this running, I think. We can also get a Mystic Sanctuary, put the Surgical Extraction on the top, and then Brainstorm. A Doughty Voidwalker, does that matter right now? No, I don't think it does. So I'm going to Mystic Sanctuary. Go to Surgical Extraction. I don't think I need to Brainstorm right now. Alright, our opponent's just had enough with us. We have a win condition, we're showing it, and we have absolute command of the game. Alright, game 3. I like how I've sideboarded here. So we've seen Bowmasters, Doughty Voidwalker, and the Barragoyf. Do we need this Prismatic Ending? Do we even need this Pyroblast? It doesn't seem actually that good. I think I'm going to have another Pending instead. There are definitely situations where the Pyroblast can come up, but we've got a lot of answers to a lot of our opponent's things. I just don't want to get caught out by a Barragoyf bashing away. I was sat there with like 2 Surgicals in hand. So this hand is rubbish. It doesn't really interact at all. Let's mulligan. This does interact. We've got some other stuff going on. I'm going to get rid of one of these Mystic Sanctuaries. Alright, just surveilling. Whenever they surveil a monster into the graveyard, just completely blind, it feels so unfair. Alright, let's Mishra's Bauble ourselves. What have we got? Swords to Plowshares. I would very much like to draw that. I'll play this land and I will draw our Swords to Plowshares. Like, yes, we could use that to set up a Predict, but I think just cycling to make sure that we get the best cards for the matchup right now is more important than just trying to get a body of cards. When we're in the mid game, then we want to start increasing the amount of cards in our hand like we did in the last game. What is this? A Doughty Voidwalker. Let's crack this for a Tundra. We don't need to answer this now. We can do it on our turn. It's way better to Prismatic Ending this, but it does play into days. I think I'm going to go for a Pending on this. It is awkward with the days and stuff, but nope, we just got it. I don't know how much counter magic our opponent has in post board. Another little friend. Sure, we can plow this one. I'll play this tapped, unfortunately, but we can bounce it later on with a Thwart. Tainted Indulgence. This can be enabler for their combo. I think we have to interact with this. That card is so good in this deck because sometimes it's just like a, you know, a card parity thing that doesn't do that much for them, just improves their hand quality slightly. It's like countering a Brainstorm or a Ponder or something. But sometimes it's an Entomb. And that is pretty scary. Let's counterbalance in. How do you feel about this one, opponent? Right, we have a Mishra's Bauble now. So now we're in the... We've set some stuff up. We've interacted with their game plan. We would like to try and leverage our Predict for some more cards. All right, we have another one. Let's see the top card of our opponent's library. It's a Brainstorm. It's a good one. Because if we try and Predict, they're just going to immediately crack this. A Petty Theft. I would like to... Card is... For our library. Let's have a look. It's a Mystic Sanctuary. Right, let's Predict ourselves. Bidding off that Mystic Sanctuary. Now let's have a reveal. A Tundra. Okay. Counterbalance has been bounced. Alright, we've drawn off of the baubles. There's the Brainstorm. So we could target our opponent with that Predict, but we gave ourselves more chances of hitting this borrower. Brainstorm's very good for our opponent here though. And set up a counterbalance with a 1 on top. A Doughty Voidwalker. Sure. Put the Source Plowshares on top. I could ponder into this and fire it off immediately. Or we could just wait there and make sure that we count all their 1-drops, which is a large portion of their deck. So we don't have to worry about Entomb this turn. We don't have to worry about Brainstorms, Thought Seizes, Ponders, anything like that. And we can afford to take 3 damage here. Our opponent is holding up this Brazen Borrower end step. Not a thing we get to counterspell. Try and plow this. I'm going to see like a Force of Negation or something. No. Right now I can ponder freely-ish. Bowmasters obviously will be annoying here. They've only got 2 of them in their deck from what we saw last time though. This is only going to ping us for 1 additional damage if they do have the Bowmasters. We've got a reasonable life total to work with here. We're also ahead on clock again. So after the first round we have really picked it up over here. Brazen Borrower. We don't have 3 drops. So we're just going to let this go. Swords to Plowshares, Force of Will, Force of Will. We kind of want the plow right now, don't we? Where we could just take the damage and have the plow on the next. So if we plow this now, we don't have a Force of Will to stop the really scary things. I think it's Force of Will on the bottom, plow in the middle, Force of Will on top, keep the Force of Will in hand, play the land out. And then if we have to Force of Will a graveyard giant monster, we can do that. Then we can untap and plow the Borrower and we'll be at 11. I think that is the correct play here. This also keeps plow on top, so it stops the scary graveyard stuff. We can even afford to take another 3 from this Borrower and hold up Hardcast Force of Will for a turn. So we have Force of Will on top, so if we're fighting over force stuff, we can do that. Haven't seen the dazes from our opponent at all. Right, so we take 3 this turn, and then at the end of turn we plow it. They don't have like reach. The only reach they really have is like Bowmaster pings and Archon of Cruelty. But if Archon of Cruelty is getting into play, we've got other problems than just its trigger. Let's try and plow this. 7 cards on our opponent's hand is so many. Alright, I'm willing to just draw a bunch of cards here. We can Force of Will a Bowmaster if we have to. Let's see what the counterbalance does. A Mystic Sanctuary. Alright, let's try Force on this Bowmasters and then gas back up. A paying cost for something over there. It's an Entomb. Okay. They've worked their way into a pretty good spot here. Like they had 7 cards at the start of this turn, so we were behind on that front. But we get to gas up a little bit here. What do I want here? Kind of annoying that we have this at sorcery speed instead of a fetch land. And I'm worried about reanimate or animate dead. I think we put the predict on top. And then we can brainstorm and put something else on top. So this covers animate dead, and this in our hand covers the reanimate. Getting pretty dicey with our life total. We will need to find a win condition. Eventually our opponent could just have enough little things that chip us down and we die. We need something that can hold the board or just advance us. Right, so they know this ponder is fine. I'm not going to counterspell this with our counterbalance. We're just trying to stop Grizzlebrand entering play this turn. So we can use this to get back our Bauble to make sure our predict works and gives us double cards. And that's card neutral because this will be basically a cantrip. It is annoying that our opponent just gets to string a bunch of cantrips this turn. But we do have Hardcast Terminus available if they manage to get a bunch of guys in play. I think whatever happens, this game is going to be surprisingly tight. We're going to keep this Brainstorm as a counter spell for anything worrying. So let's get back this Bauble. Place one out. This allows us to do predict. We can have a look at the top card of our library because they could change the top card of their library with an Entomb. It's an Ominous Seas. Do I want this Ominous Seas? Like, we kind of do. That's annoying. But we should hopefully get to see our library with the counterbalance trigger at some point. And we also have the Brainstorm that we can set our predict up with. Right, 6 cards in our opponent's hand. That's so many. Why do you need so many cards, opponent? Animate Dead. I would like to cast a Brainstorm, please. Paying costs. We're getting Bauble. They're casting a Brainstorm response. Let's say yes to this Counterbalance ability. An island, okay. So their Brainstorm will resolve. They get to draw so many cards because they are on 27 life here. I don't think we win if this Animate Dead resolves. A ForceOfPhil. Alright, we're going to predict ourselves because we know the top card is an island. Now we can let this resolve. Let's go. Yes, to Counterbalance, revealed a Brainstorm. So we get to draw 1 card here off of with this. So that resolves. Now we know this doesn't work, so we have to clear the top card of our library. And we get 1 more stab at it. A Brainstorm. Okay, so our opponent gets to draw 21 cards and we lose the game. Well, we can scoop or we can Terminus this and hope they don't have enough stuff because they don't have that many threats left in their deck. But are we ever going to resolve a spell again? Probably not. Right, they're in the cleanup step. Atraxa. Oh, that's convenient, isn't it? And they almost certainly have a way of reanimating that. Alright, Terminus. Go on the bottom, Grizzlebrand. Draw 7 cards. What a fine response to any spell. Just, yeah, you cast a spell, I'm going to draw 7 cards. Why not? They're going to respond. I'm going to draw 7 more cards. Sure, why not? Just draw 14 cards in response to my spell. Must have some interaction at this point. Might be able to double layer as well, so they force, we Brainstorm. I've got this Brainstorm going here. I don't... This feels like bait. So I'm not going to fall for it. Alright, we've got an Oust on top. Okay, and we can Brainstorm to try and find a 5-drop to leave on top, because you've got these Lórien Revealed. If we're fearing the... Oh wow, it worked. Oh wow, this trousers. It worked, they don't get to cast 1-drops this turn. They can't cast Reanimate anyway. So it'll be hard for them to clean their hand of cards here. Unless they play a 2-drop first to try and get us to reset the counterbalance. But what 2-drop would they have to cast? It would have to be the Animate Dead. Would be probably the only 2-drop that we actually try and counterbalance here. Maybe Douthie or Bowmaster. If they cast Bowmasters, we're casting Brainstorm Response anyway. Would love my opponent just to go to clean up here. Alright, so there's an Animate Dead. We know the top card of our library. It doesn't counter Animate Dead. I think we have to Brainstorm again. They're going to Bowmasters because they've drawn loads of cards. They should have another Bowmaster in hand at this point. They're going to ping us for a bunch and then we're in trouble. Just a daze. We know the top card of our library is a 1-drop. It's the Oust, isn't it? So this resolves, unfortunately. We know this won't counter it. So they get their guy back. They get to draw 7 more cards, but they've already got loads of cards. Running out of library. We need, like, increasing confusion. Just mill them out. I don't believe they're going to take the Entomb here. I guess if they get a hit in with the Atraxa, it becomes a lot more tempting. Also, just reanimating the Ultra Bowmasters can do a lot of work here. Actually, yeah, I think it is right to get the Bowmasters. I guess I can just play this Bowmasters. They can also reanimate the other Bowmasters. And then we basically don't get to draw cards ever again. I believe our opponent has gotten through this one. We've got an Oust on top. I don't believe this game is going to take them 5 minutes to kill us. Brazen Borrower, Polluted Delta, Ponder, ForceOfPhil. Okay. I'm just going for stopping whatever we're doing plan. Petty Theft. I know the top card is Oust, so this is free to do. A Thwart Seize. Are they going to take our Brainstorm? And then they ForceOfPhil whatever we play. At least we get to Brainstorm here. Unless they've forgotten about the Oust. Alright, they need to clean up a lot of cards. They have 21 cards in hand and only 11 in their library. Yep, so even with our deck with all these big, you know, repeated draw threes, we're still behind in cards to one thing resolving, which is kind of a problem with control right now. But we're making a real game of this, and it does feel like just maybe if we found the surgical this game, we win this one. We just didn't have the surgical this time around, and that made quite the difference. Maybe our opponent spends 3 minutes trying to just choose what to discard. Have to imagine that the Ponder and the Force of Will, or at least a blue card and the Force of Will, are going. They got rid of a polluted Delta. Right, so we draw the Oust. We cast a Brainstorm. Maybe our opponent's forgotten about it. This doesn't really work, does it? Ominous Seas. What are you doing to me? So this gets a Force of Will. And the next card we draw doesn't do anything. And then the card after that doesn't do anything, and we die to the Atraxa. So you need to remember they have a Force of Will in their deck. They've remembered, and we are dead. Well, we gave it a good try. Couldn't quite go over the finish line, but it just shows you, like, there was a little while where the game was kind of stalled. If we had something where we're chipping away our opponent, then we're fine, which is where a tempo deck with similar elements would be in a much better spot. All right, let's go to round 4 and keep this momentously long lead going. Source Plowshares we can't cast. The Force of Will we can cast. Not in love with this hand. It is very Wasteland susceptible. I think we could do better. Island Ponder. I've heard that's a good way to play the game. I think we just put back the Ominous Seas right now. We're not trying to win the game. Our opponent might still be on breakfast. They did win Eternal Weekend with it. So I would probably keep playing that deck if I were them. Let's go for the Ponder. We can find some interaction. We're looking for Plows. We're looking for Force of Will. That sort of jazz. Okay, there is a Plow. That is one of the cards I wanted. We'll bury the Brainstorm. Just in case they're playing something else, we'll leave the Plow on top. So it can't be thought seized. I'm not playing out this Mishra's Bauble just yet. We want to use this with our Counterbalance. So you can play Counterbalance and know we have a Brainstorm on top. So we could see a Nomads here. No. An Underground Sea. Are we on something else? Okay, so we're going to lose our probably Counterbalance here. Depends what our opponent's up to. But Counterbalance is particularly irritating, so I wouldn't blame my opponent for taking it. Brainstorm went. Interesting. We're getting dazed. We are getting dazed. Okay. So we know we've got a Brainstorm on top of our library. But we're just going to keep this Mishra's Bauble for later with this Predict. Wasteland, goodbye Tundra. Yep. But now we get to Brainstorm in relative peace looking for another land. We did find it. This can bring back our Counterbalance, so I'm kind of down for that. I don't think we want the Bauble at this stage. And I don't know if we want this Lórien Revealed just yet. We'll draw it the next turn anyway and then shuffle it. Let's go as Counterbalance. Right, we have a Counterbalance. Then we're going to get a Tundra here. I don't think we're playing out this Counterbalance. When if we wait one turn, we can play it into a round of days instead of just playing straight into it. I don't know if our opponent is... Okay, I was going to say, I don't know if they're on Tempo or Reanimator. Certainly looks like Reanimator now, though. They get the Grizzlebrand and we lose to that pretty easily. Okay, it's just an Atraxa. We can beat Atraxa. Right, here comes a Troll, getting cycled. This is kind of the problem with this shell, because you don't know what you're playing against until it's too late. So our opponent could have reanimated. Alright, we're just not getting reanimated on. Oh, that's lovely. I don't think we're going to predict. We can wait and get some more value out of that one. Okay. We've got a Thwart as well. It's certainly not free to play this Thwart. It's going to set us back a bit. But I think I'm going to float a mana. And we're going to Thwart. Boom. Old school mode. Cheeky little 1-for-1. Oh, sorry, 2-for-1 here. With exile, a daze. And then I'll play out my Tundra, I think, here. I don't think I'm going to predict. Okay. We've achieved something resembling stability here. I'll play out this island. So we've got Force of Will if we need it. We've got Counterbalance. We've got Predict. A Petty Theft. Let's see what the Counterbalance reveals. A Ponder. Do I want to predict and get rid of that Ponder and draw some cards? It does leave us shields down to... Like, this is a guaranteed blue card. But we could draw 2 cards and maybe... Actually, no, we're going to have the Counterbalance of the blue card, aren't we? Right, let's name this Ponder and draw some more cards. We did find another blue card as well. Just having a little joke with our opponent. Alright, a Ponder. That's not where we're going to be countering. We need to counter a spell that puts a big scary thing into play. A Reanimate. We have to fight over this. What are we discarding? I think it's the Lórien Revealed here. We're a long way off of that being a real spell. A Daze here is obviously going to ruin our day. Ooh, it didn't happen. Alright, another Force of Will. Better or worse than having... Is that better to just keep in hand, or should we have the Counterbalance? I think we want the Counterbalance, but this is... I have the Counterbalance. This is awkward. If we play the Counterbalance... If we don't play the Counterbalance out, our opponent knows we have exactly Force of Will. Because that would be the reason not to play the Counterbalance there. I don't know if it's worth letting our opponent have that information. We have to fade like 1 turn cycle, and then maybe we can get back in and have another blue card. We have a lot of them in our deck. And also playing into the Counterbalance is a miserable experience as well. What do we want here? We can put a 1 mana card on top of our library. And put Brainstorm on top is pretty good here. Gives us more manipulation later on. We have high cast Force of Will next turn. So we're very much entering the stage of the game where we have a lot of control. It's a little bit tenuous though, because we are relying on this Counterbalance a bit. Alright, so they're playing this out. They know we can't do anything with this because it's just a Brainstorm on top. I'm more than happy to take at least 1 hit from this. We do obviously have the Plow that we can fire off in a bit. But I'd like to see what our opponent's up to in case we need to fire this Plow somewhere else. Like on a Bowmasters or something like that. Or maybe they sneak through a reanimated target. But I will take the 3 and then I will Plow this. This allows us to hold up Hardcast Force of Will next turn. Right, we have the classic 5 mana in a blue deck. So our opponent knows what's up. We do, unfortunately, need to find a win condition, which is not a thing our deck is actually very good at doing. Prismatic Ending, not a great spell to have access to. If we draw another blue card, then we can Brainstorm. But until we do, we're kind of just plain draw go. We are a couple of minutes behind because I had to go and answer the door earlier. So hopefully that won't get me. Okay, I think it's okay to Brainstorm now. And we've got enough protection hanging around. Okay, I would like these ominous C's, I suppose. Here comes the fruit. Here it is. I suspect our opponent will have something to say about this in the chat because it's quite a weird one to see in the old Legacy. So what do we put back? A Prismatic Ending. So we have a 1-drop on top. So we don't actually want to remove the 1-drop. Because between 1-drops and this Force of Will, we kind of have everything our opponent's deck does covered. It's the Prismatic Ending on top. No, it's another Bauble actually, isn't it? Can we stack Bauble, Bauble? No, a Bauble in our hand, Bauble on top. So we do need to actually remove this. We're supposed to crack this. We kind of want our opponent to do something in the end step here. To cover for our little error. Okay, we don't get to remove the top card, so we're not actually countering 1-drops, but our opponent probably assumes we are. A Tainted Indulgence. We know this isn't going to work. Let's see what top card of our opponent's library is. A Troll of Khazad-dûm. Do I want this spell to resolve? No. But they already have the Atraxa in graveyard, so I don't think we counterspell this. We want them to think it's 1-drops that are covered on top. We're going to get away with it. We are. Oh, getting those omen triggers going. Or what they foreshadow triggers. So we can see what the top card of our library is before revealing. Get some more cards that will get Brazen Borrowed away, no doubt, when we finally make our 8-8. But this is round 4 and we haven't made a single 8-8 yet. Now we did board them out in game 1 because it was the Pyroblast deck. But even so, I think this is demonstrating a problem with the ominous seas. A counterbalance. I would like to look at a top card of my library, please. Okay, we will allow this Brainstorm. So we have two options when we do eventually fire off a Force of Will. We can pitch cast it to dodge days, or we can hard cast it so we have a second one for a later round. I think what we do depends on the quality of the monster we're up against. A reanimate. I don't really want to fight against that. I think we have to pitch cast so that we don't play into days. Our friend's got 5 cards in hand. I think we have to pitch cast here. Right, it just worked. We have a fetch line on top, which is an excellent card for us to have access to, so I'm going to pop our graveyard out here. Right, 3 counters. 4 counters. And now we have Mystic Sanctuary to get back anything we need, so we can counter any spell. Or we can just start firing Lórien Revealed into our hand. And that will make an 8-8 next turn, which will be a 3-turn clock. Our opponent is sat there with some hardcast Force of Will mana. We don't know the top card of our library. A Troll of Khazad-dûm. Do we have any 6-drops in our deck? We have 1 6-drop. It's not in our graveyard right now, is it? Yes, I'd like to use Counterbalance's ability. Oh my... I feel really bad about that. That was brutal. Just the blind flip Terminus. Wowzers and or trousers. There's a Ponder. I think we're going to cast a Predict, getting rid of that Terminus. 22 more cards. And now we can reveal off of this. And it was a Prismatic Ending. Not a bad turn for what we're trying to accomplish there. Don't want this Prismatic Ending. Let's get another Sanctuary. Let's put this Lórien Revealed on top. And we're very much in the zone of value. Let's play this land first, so if they have a counterspell, we can just deal with it using our counterbalance. Oh my god, we're going to get to make our guy. We're going to get to make the guy. Unbelievable. It's round 4. It's been... how long has it been for me? It's been 3 hours of this league, and we're going to make our first ominous seas taken. Wowzers, trousers. What's the top card of our library here? It is a 1-drop. No 1-drops for you, opponent. This is like back in the day almost. Once we've got the setup. Alright, let's remove, make a little crackeny goodness. We're just going to leave this up so we can counter any spell. This uncracked fetch land is just counter spell whenever we need it to be. Because of all the different mana costs we have in our bin. Get to attack here. We are now ahead on clock as well. I've been quick and judicious with my clicking. Sure, I'll have some more tokens, some more potential monster-y goodness. If they've got a bow boys, we can kill it with a plow. Honestly, not even mad. We don't know what's on top, we'll just reveal it. Another ominous seas, okay. We've got a lethal threat in play anyway. Alright. We're getting there. So, Reanimator. What did we do last time? We wanted Surgical Extractions. We bought it in the Pyroblast and we bought it out and I wasn't really into it. We wanted the Dress Down. We don't want this Conjurer's Bauble. Feels a bit whatever. The Vanishment is okay here. I think we don't want the Bauble and 1 ending. That seems fine to me. I think that's what we did last time. There's definitely arguments for this Pyroblast, but it doesn't deal with any of their threats apart from the Atraxa. It's the only one. Atraxa is the only threat it deals with. And they're not casting that. What are we doing with this hand? We can plow something. We don't have any graveyard hate, but we do have the plows. Alright, I'm going to believe in our ability to plow through what our opponent's doing. Our clocks are very, very close here. A lovely pickup. Love to see the Force of Will here. This is an end of turn Entomb. I will fire it off. And I probably pitch the Ominous Seas here. We've got 2 more in the deck. Alright, it's just a Surveil land. Is it just going to be the Raw Dog Monster? No. Okay, excellent. Alright, we're playing a slow, cagey game here. What do we have on top? Ominous Seas. I don't really want to draw that. It is a blue card. And we do need to get something going. Am I going to draw that? It exposes us to the opponent playing around days. Playing us into a daze quite easily. I think I'm just going to draw it. We can cycle it if we need to. Are we going for a Orcish Bowmasters here? Get that sweet value. I am willing to plow this. Let's get Tundra. We got double plows. This could be a daze for our opponent. Pick up the Surveil land, get a little more value down the stretch. Nope. Okay, it is. So now we have a Volcanic Island. Our opponent can play a land, but they could reanimate the troll, but we have a plow covering that anyway. It's just a ponder, that's fine. So what we're doing with our next turn, our Thwart is now available to be used. We could play this Ominous Seas and see if we can just tick this up. I don't hate that as a strategy. Alright. Let's get in the sea. So because we had to fetch, we didn't draw the second Ominous Seas. There it is. How do you feel about my card type that you can only really interact with using your Brazen Borrower? They may have access to something like a Ratchet Bomb. It's very unlikely. Or a Powder Keg. It's usually Powder Keg, actually. But I don't think they will have that. But it is something that might exist. That is an Entomb. I would like to Force of Will this. And I would like to pitch. I think it's the other Force of Will. We can Thwart here. And this is technically just a 1-for-1. So it's going to end up better in the trade of resources for us. And I'd like to keep the Predict so that we can try and get some more cards going. Because if we can get the cards flowing, we can win the game. A Murktide Regent. We can plow this. We'll do this on our turn to dodge the days. We've got 1 minute ahead on our clock. Let's try and keep it that way. So yield to this. I would like to plow your Murktide Regent, please. Are you going to fight over this? No. Excellent. I don't have to do any horrible thwarting, bouncing all my lands. Although we could have replayed one this turn, so it wouldn't have been the worst. I think it's better to save this Predict as a draw 2, unless we're in dire straits. A Barrow Goyf. We have the answer to that in hand right now. This will be dazeable, is the only problem. So there is an argument to cast the Predict to try and find a land, but we'd just be cantripping with it. I don't think that's worth it. I think we're better off predicting here. Sorry, not predicting. Prismatic Ending into... Oh, do we do it into days? We could do this just to draw a card for turn and stop this from doing its thing. That buys us a turn. That hopefully unlocks the extra mana that gets us to Prismatic Ending around days. I don't think this is worth interacting with for our opponent. They agreed. Oh, wowzers, trousers. He gets revealed as Terminus. That has worked out pretty well for us. Now, this obviously can be dazed. But if it isn't, it's very good for us. And it doesn't really cost us anything to try. Because we then just get to untap and Prismatic Ending. Alright, so we've got a daze here. That's fine. That's a daze that's not being aimed at our Prismatic Ending. So we're way more likely to get that to fire off on the Barrow Goyf next turn. Oh, okay. They're bouncing our Dress Down. Okay, so they're going to get a hit in here. They're going to mill and find something. So let's pop out their graveyard and see what they hit. This also can enable reanimated shenanigans as well. So it can certainly go wrong from here. I don't think it was worth thwarting that though. Okay, a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Are they going to get that back? They might as well. It's a free card. Turns into a land, gets back in the graveyard. Undercity Sewers. Would love to find access to another land here. I'd really tie the room together for this turn. A Reanimate targeting a Troll of Khazad-dûm. I don't think we get to thwart this. Because if we thwart this, we never get to kill this Barragoyf and it just kills us. Yep. Pretty disgusting. Okay, an Oust. That helps. So this is a 4/5. So this does us less. This does less damage. Okay, so I think the plan is to oust this, and then we play the dress down. Do we do it in our opponent's end step? Sorry, we do it in our end step, I think, right? We're getting close to having an 8/8. Because this means it stays around for our opponent's turn, so we don't take damage from the Barragoyf unless they want to bounce the dress down again, but they would need another borrower for that. This has been a really, really good match. Obviously, we've got lucky a couple of times, like that Terminus flip, or the blind Terminus before flip to Counterbalance. Now, we might still have won that game anyway, but it certainly didn't hurt. Okay, they take out our Tundra. We're definitely not playing around our opponent's days here, are we? We just get nibbled for 1. I don't think we're just trying to predict our way to a big boy. We could ponder our way to a big boy, though, couldn't we? Ponder and predict. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have to. So, right, I don't think we have a choice to play around days anymore. Can we exile your Barragoyf, please? We can. Okay. And then we thwart the. I think we have to thwart this. I don't think we can afford to take 3 in the air. Here comes all of our lands back to our hand. One of them is a come into play tap land, which is not ideal. But we stop the threat. We've got plays we can make. Next turn we get to make an 8/8, which should be able to check some of their ground pounding guys. Apart from the troll, obviously, if they get to reanimate that. And they've got plenty of life, so reanimate is perfectly ready to do that. A Brainstorm, that's a pretty solid play. So hopefully the plan is we ponder this turn. We have a predict set up for the following turn. And that gets us nearly halfway towards another 8/8. It's unlikely we're going to need multiple 8/8s. Animate dead on a troll. Okay, so now we're dead. No, we take 1 this turn, then we take 6 next turn, we're at 1. Because our 8/8 can block the 1/1. So I don't think we want to expose our white source. So I'm going to play this land out. Our opponent is the Wasteland deck. This ponder is pretty clutch. This is worth countering for our opponent if they have a daze. They did not. We can't cast the Force of Will. This isn't any order in shuffle. But we get an 8/8. So we have 1 more turn to try and find a Swords to Plowshares. We can't put the Oust on top because we don't have enough lands to make this Mystic Sanctuary work. If this win condition was basically anything else, I think we'd probably be in a better spot. Brazen Borrower kills us here. Oh, the troll only hits for 5, doesn't it? So we're not actually dead if this doesn't work. So we went through all of this just to get it borrowed. So we don't have things that can blow up both of those. All right, we are just dead. GG's. Was that game 2? That was game 2. All right, so we got another game. I think we just go back in. We're on the play this time. Yeah, Island Ponder plus the ability to mess with their graveyard. We're looking for plows. We're looking for possibly Force of Will, Counterbalance, these sorts of things. Omen of the Seas. Why you do this to me every time? I guess we'll put this Omen of the Seas in our hand. Sorry, Ominous Seas. So we have Force of Will, blue card, and Soda Extraction. So we're not going to get killed by that side of things. Maybe the Ominous Seas is just better if we pay 2 and cycle it every time. But then we can't do that because we actually have to win the game. So we do need to play one at some point. A Wasteland. That's delightful, isn't it? So we're not playing this Ominous Seas right now. We'll play this Fetch Land out. Top card of our library is a Mishra's Baubles. That's a redraw. I don't care too much for that one. So we probably want to get a basic island here so we can just play on basics. It means that Mystic Sanctuary is very far away from being a card that we get to play. I don't think I'm playing around. We could play this around a days, but if we do that, then we don't get to try and interact with this around a daze. I'm going to allow this entomb to happen. And then we can surgically extract it. And then we just don't have to worry about attractors ever again. And maybe we get 2 for 1 with this surgical extraction. We can play around daze here by a factor of 2. So we crack this first, just to make dazes less of a problem. Surgically extract the attractor. A Force of Will. I would also like to Force of Will. I'm sorry, Ominous Seas, you got to go here. And they've got a Force of Will. Okay. I guess we are predicting ourselves. We're going to name Brainstorm. I think that's the card there's most of. I don't think we have anything more than a 4 of in our deck. We did not hit. We were looking to mill the Brainstorm and hit blue card Force of Will. Now they get their guy. And they get to reload in a big way. We do get to try and kill this. Okay, we do get to kill this. Based on these cards. They might have something in their hand that can interact with us. They haven't played a land yet for turn though. So what do they get? Polluted, Delta, Archon of Cruelty, Thoughtseize, Tainted Indulgence. Alright, so they're going to Thoughtseize away this source to Plowshares. That's no good. Oh, come on. Maybe do something else? Nope, it's definitely the Thoughtseize. Sure. I think we're just absolutely roasted in this game. That Mishra's Bauble. Give me the goods. Oh dear, oh dear. And it's not the goods. So they bash us for 7, they bash us for 7, they probably reanimate the Archon at that point, and then we die. Alright, opponent. Sometimes they just send it with double Force of Will. Lórien Revealed. Okay, we have an out here, don't we? Actually, no, we don't have enough. We don't have enough islands. That's the problem. So this plains that we got to play around Wasteland is now coming back to bite us because we couldn't have. We could have played the Mystic Sanctuary, put the plow on top, and then we'd at least have a chance of being able to plow their attractor and live. Archon of Cruelty is gone. What a surprise. If they reanimate the Archon of Cruelty, we die this turn. We don't have any interaction. You go ahead, opponent. There's a Brainstorm. Says confined protection for whatever they're doing. To make sure that we don't get to resolve our plow, or they could just find a way to bring back the Archon of Cruelty and kill us right now. There it is, and we're done. GG's. Well, we put up a good fight. I think we did showcase what our deck can do here. I think we also demonstrated that Ominous Seas is an unplayable legacy card. What I'll also say is the best thing that their deck can do is much better than the best thing that our deck can do. As you saw in this game where their God Hand just goes over the top and just slaughters us. So that is something to be aware of. Alright, we are 4 rounds in. We are currently 1 and 3. Although one of those we would have won if we had I don't know, 2-3 minutes left on our clock. Probably 2 minutes would have been enough. So the deck is 2 and 2, but we are 1 and 3. Let's go to the final round and see if we can get something a bit more respectable as a result here. Alright, we're on the play. Okay, we can keep this. We can tutor for another land. We've got a little bit of interaction here of varying stripes. Let's see if we can play against something different. Give us a bit more of a run out against different things in the field. Maybe Eldrazi would actually be nice. Weirdly, it's not a thing you say very often. But maybe it would be nice to see how this deck squares up into Eldrazi, since that's quite a popular deck. Or Mono Red Prison, something like that. How do I feel about getting Thoughtseized? Well, I think step 1 is to take another land into our hand here. Another Tundra. Alright, opponent, you can have a little looky-loo. You're going to see this Ominous Seas and laugh, but there it is. They took our Force of Will. That means they're probably some sort of Reanimator style deck that wants to send it, rather than trade resources. What does that mean for us here? Are we trying to Brainstorm into more action? I think we are. Let's just fix our hand. The fixing of the hand was not there, really. Because I'll put back... Oh, it's a blue card there. I don't think we need this Prismatic Ending. Maybe put back a land. Brainstorm from our opponent. Okay. We probably want to shuffle our library here. Or do we want that land that we left on top? Yeah, I'll take the land. We don't want to get Wasteland out of this game. Okay, Ominous Seas. Let's play you. Maybe this is supposed to be cycled. We haven't really been looking at it as a cycling card that much. But we need so long for this to build up. It feels like we need to get it in a little bit earlier. We're just going to get Entomb Reanimated on and die. It's quite likely. Just Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay. Animate Dead. This is not the end of the world for us. It's just a 5/5. We can untap. I can't remember what's on top of our library now. I think it's Prismatic Ending. We could use the ending just to kill the Animate Dead and leave this stuff in hand. Or we could get rid of the Prismatic Ending using the Predict and then plow this. I'm okay to use a Prismatic Ending on the Animate Dead. It's honestly fine. And then that leaves the more flexible removal of Swords to Plowshares and arguably Oust ready to use later. Also, we can do Oust mill lines at some point. Although we don't really want to put their creatures they're ousting into their graveyard. So, not sure how I feel about that one. We can Vanishment stuff if we find it and then use that to predict as well. But again, the things that we're putting on top, we don't really want our opponent to have. Ooh, that's a bit annoying. Sure. Like, we still have 2 mana to work on. Animate Dead. Okay. So we're drawing a fresh card now. I think I can oust this one. Sorcery Speed action. And then turn afterwards, we can then mill this over. Opponent's making the mistake of reading all of our cards and losing themselves some time. But we know all the silly cards. Oh wow, just getting forced. Do I want to plow this? Not into the days. I think we're just going to pass, take hit for 5, untap, and then plow it. Let's play it cautiously. Now, as long as we can leverage our spells, and I don't hate the spot we're in. At some point, our other, the Ominous Seas will do something. Our Predicts will cash into some cards. Place land out. I will plow this creature. We're getting close to doing Mystic Sanctuary stuff. Our next fetch land is Mystic Sanctuary. So we can get Brainstorm back, and then we can use that to predict. Although once we were into like the whole Mystic Sanctuary stuff back on top, it's almost at the point we should just be using Lórien Revealed anyway. You can see an Entomb or something at end step. So this happens all the time, and makes me very sad. Like, this does fill the quota of being a card that wants the game to go long, but it's just so easily dealt with. Recycling Ominous Seas, we're just replaying it. Our opponent spent that guy on it. Okay. I guess we will cast an Ominous Seas again. This next one can be a shuffle. Sorry, not shuffle, a cycle. Like, you may as well run like Darksteel Reactor instead of Ominous Seas. At least it says you win the game, and it only has to get to 10 counters, which isn't much more than 8. Obviously, we can speed it up by drawing cards, but I don't think that's necessarily where we want to be. I don't know, I've got some thoughts about this card. Okay, we're not going to plow into days. We're just going to take it and carry on. When our opponent's not doing Entomb stuff, it feels a lot better for us. Let's plow this guy. Let's cast a Ponder. I'll take the other land, I guess. And maybe the Predict. Then we're just going to crack both of these and shuffle. I guess we could crack both of these and put something on top, predict it away. That's pretty reasonable. A Barrow Goyf. Understood. Okay, I think we just crack this for a Tundra. Crack this for a Meticulous Archive. Not Meticulous Archive. Mystic Sanctuary. That's the one. Get back this Swords to Plowshares. I'm not going to predict this away, obviously. But I will cycle this over in the Seas. Let's plow this. So we can make an 8/8 this turn. So we can Brainstorm and then we can predict. We'll pop our graveyard out in case we get some more Mystic Sanctuary action going. Let's see if our opponent's got a Bowmasters. Doesn't look like they do. Do I want this island? Not really. So I'll put this Bauble and then the island on top. So we name island. We get 2 cards. We get one of these. It gets bounced. We get to crash with a guy. We get our opponent below their starting life total. Okay, so now we're cooking a little bit. That's what our opponent's got over there. If I don't like it, I can mill it off and entomb. Okay. We're secretly playing Lantern Control. 1 Bauble at a time. Okay. Are we going to get there with some Ominous Seas action? This could be Invisible Stalker and probably win us the game, to be honest. Although sometimes the 8/8 body will be useful. Do we care about this? No. Just plow that. Keep the train rolling. More cards here. A Counterbalance. That's the sort of card we're looking for, isn't it? Let's get that right down there right away. Alright, so now this game I think is locked up. I don't think we can lose this one. We've got a big guy. We've got all of these mana values on tap to counter their things. We've got some card advantage. We can brainstorm this Vanishment on top. Vanish something. Have a great time. We know that we don't have anything that's 3, so we just let this resolve. Brainstorm. I guess we don't want this Bauble, do we? And then we'll put this Vanishment on top. Make another 8/8. Untap. Vanish this thing. Alright, our opponent has... Scoot that one up. I don't blame them. So, I would like these Surgical Extractions again. I don't mind this Dress Down. Take out this Conjurer's Bauble again. Take out this Mishra's Bauble. Take out 1 Ending. I'm happy with that sideboard. Let's go in. Like, we're matching up okay into the blue-black deck. Not a bad place to be. I think if we had a better win condition, then we'd be okay. Obviously, it worked that time, but then, like I said, a lot of things probably would have worked in that situation. Could always just play something hard to interact with, like the Teferi spell that's like an enchantment that mills them or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is. Alright, we got Graveyard Hate. We've got Plow. That's fine. I'll take that. We're going to need to work towards something else. But I will keep this. Our deck is very Xeroxy, so we can certainly draw more cards. Thwart Seas. Well, that sucks a little bit. We're going to lose this Surgical most likely. Although if they take the Plow, it means they're not really on the graveyard plan. So that's something, I guess. The non-graveyard plan is a lot easier for us to beat. Because the value those big creatures make is just too much. I don't know if they have Grizzlebrand though. If they've just got the Arc on the Atraxa, we can beat that. I think the Grizzlebrand is actually the one that is the scariest. Because that's just like 14 cards against us, and that's too much. Am I just Baubling here to get underneath the boarded in Bowmasters? I think we are. Let's get a little bit of information about what our opponent's working with. An Entomb. Oh, lovely. Alright, so let's hope it draws us a ForceOfPhil, I guess. Or another Extraction is fine. It drew us a Prismatic Ending, which is certainly not either of those things. Do they have the ability to send it right now? Maybe they do. There's the Attractor. So we could have played out the Tundra so that we could plow it in response to the trigger. But the problem is that just plays into days anyway. Alright, here it comes. How bad is it? All lands, please. It was not all lands. Alright. Are we going to be able to beat what they keep here? Probably not. They force, that buys them 1 turn. We then need to find another answer. It's tough out there. It really is. So, ForceOfPhil, Brazen Borrower, Reanimate, Animate Dead, Misty Rainforest. Sure. Draw many, many cards. They have to discard at end step. Was it going to be Reanimate, probably? No, Troll. Oh, okay, that's pretty good too. A Surgical Extraction. Okay. what is our play here? I think we try and bait the Force of Will on the Surgical Extraction on the troll. And then we can Prismatic Ending the Animate Dead away. I think that's our line. Right, we'll take the 7. That'll make our opponent think that we don't have any removal. Hopefully. Go on, bring back that troll back. Cast that Animate Dead. I know you want to. Alright, here is our slot to try and make our opponent mess up. Go on, fire off that Force of Will. They did not fire off the Force of Will. That was annoying. So we've got all the trolls out there. So that doesn't work. I don't think we plow yet. I think we have to wait for like our own force or something. Predict. I'll cast a Dress Down now. If it draws us into the Force of Will, at least it's going to be around for turn cycles, so we have less life for us to chew through if that ever becomes relevant. Okay, so we don't get to ponder. That's the downside of doing it then. Thwart Seas. Alright, let's burn the Force of Will in our opponent's hand. This also means they're not going to... Okay, Force of Will pitching a Brainstorm. Sure. So the Undersea Sewers is the land in hand. So now they take the Ponder. So we are on predict our way out of this situation. Actually, that's not even true, is it? If we find any cantrip, we can put the swords back on top with Mystic Sanctuary. We can also just target our opponent with predict and draw it. And just name whatever. They put one card on top of their library. If I was my opponent, what would I put on top of my library in this situation? A Force of Will or an Entomb? It's one of the two, isn't it? I think Entomb is harder for us to beat, so that's what we're going to name with our predict. I guess we mill them anyway. We then have to beat the Brazen Borrower, but that's a problem for later. Or for very soon, in fact. So we go get the Mystic Sanctuary. I'd very much like this source to Plowshares on top of my library. Let's predict our opponent here. We'll name Entomb. I think that might get us 2 cards. It was a Brainstorm. Okay. We can plow this now. They can't Petty Theft it because Petty Theft is opponent's creatures. They can't play the Brazen Borrower this turn. So we need to find another plow. Oh dear. I guess we could draw a force if they play the Borrower at the wrong time. Come on, deck. We're close. We're so close to stabilizing here. A Thwart. Okay. That is pretty darn good. Are we casting it for free? Or hard casting it? Do I want to get one of these cards back? I'm not sure about that. I think I want to be live for a Lórien Revealed draw. Right, in comes the Borrower. We'll thwart that. These margins are so razor thin that we're playing on here. Playing around the days. Alright. Again, if we bounce all our lands, then we're a little ways away from Mystic Sanctuary anyway. And then we might get caught up by dazes and things. We should just take the free answer and just roll with it. Yep. But now we can hit into a fetch land, and that wins here. Or not wins, but stops us from losing. Which, as a control deck, feels like winning. Come on, fetch land. Or an answer to this. A counterbalance. Yep, our opponent just clocks us with that. Oh. We fought the good fight there. We're still ahead on clock. I'm not going to try and play to the clock by making our opponent turn their guy sideways and all that jazz. Alright, let's try this one more time. Maybe we want the Pyroblast just for borrowers instead of this Bauble. Okay, I believe in the Pyroblast now. Just for that one situation we were in. But also it can stop them bouncing our thing, which might be enough to get us an 8-8 going. It stops them getting the back half of the borrower. It kind of feels like a 2-for-1 in that case. No lands. This is a mulligan. It doesn't really interact with our opponent's deck very much. I don't think we can keep this. Like, this card is blank most of the time. This card is kind of blank. These are just redraws. Like, it's all air. We need something. Or, you know, better cantrips. Okay, this is one we can keep. We probably have to believe in the counterbalance. Would I prefer a redraw or an oust? Is it redraw or is it oust? I think they're going to be more on the fair plan post board, so I'm going to put back the Bauble here. I'll fetch land. So we've got the ability to drop a counterbalance. It is into a daze. We're already behind on resources, so not a great start to this one. No particular archive in our deck to fetch. A dress down. Okay, I don't mind this as a pseudo answer to reanimate. Like we could play this and try and fish for a Force of Will, but I think it's better just to blank the attractor trigger if this is an Entomb. It's just a troll. Just a troll. That's fine. An Underground Sea. A reanimate. I think I'm going to crack this dress down now, just in case we find a surgical. I think it's worth firing off here. Did not find the surgical. We can oust this though, that's not a problem. Let's play... Let's get this counterbalance in first. Let's go and fetch another Tundra here. Am I ousting this into a daze? We're already low on resources, but taking the hit last time ended up costing us. I think we have to oust, but we've got a little bit of protection in the counterbalance. Moving forward. The games with counterbalance definitely feel better than the ones without. Not exactly a shocker, is it? They are swamp cycling. Interesting they're doing that first. Do they not want to shuffle their troll away? I guess, you know, it's still a cantrip, it's fine. In the mid game, it gets some sewers. Okay, there's sewers there. Alright, so the sewers is going to mill over the troll anyway, so it's kind of the same difference. But they could have shuffled away the troll and got the sewers. Unless they want 2 trolls in their graveyard, which is a terrifying thought. I hope they don't want 2 trolls in their graveyard. Alright, we'll reveal with a counterbalance. Force of Will. Okay, they're going to get back this troll. So in our upkeep, we'll plow this. So we're going to play the Undersea Sewers now. But yeah, we play the thing in our upkeep because we can already pay around days. And if our opponent has a Force of Will, we counter it because our Force of Will is on top. Now we have to pitch cast it to counter it if that's the thing we feel we need to do. Got to squeeze every drop of juice out of this deck. I want this Force of Will. I'm not opposed to having it. Do I want... I don't want to cycle. This is our blue card. Alright. So we're sat behind counterbalance with Force of Will in hand. The board is empty. We're going to need to find something. Our opponent's got more cards in hand than us, which is a little bit alarming. But their deck has like A plus B, and we sometimes just randomly stop their spells for free anyway. So it's not the worst situation I've ever been in. Let's reveal to counterbalance. A Thwart. Do I care about this enough to counterspell it? It's annoying. It's definitely annoying. I don't really want to draw as Thwart either. I think the actual play here is to cycle this. We don't have to do that right now, actually, do we? We can let this resolve. This does put Lórien Revealed underneath them, actually. That is a bit awkward. We shouldn't have done that, really. Maybe we need to Force of Will something else this turn, though. I don't want to get caught short. Animate dead into this guy. We definitely can't deal with a 5/5. This will put a Force of Will underneath our opponent's Doughty Voidwalker. And now we have to draw this Thwart. It is live, but it will set us back to the absolute Stone Age here. This is not the phase of the game that you want the Thwarts for. You want to have like 6 lands and just have this Thwart and just be like, okay, I get to pick up my 2 Mystic Sanctuaries and something else, and then we're just away with it. Brainstorm. I guess we'll have a look and see if we counter this. A Predict. Okay. That's okay. That can get us some more cards. That's what we need right now. We've kind of run out of velocity. We need some more resources to leverage. Wasteland. Yeah, that's pretty good. Bash us for 3. A Predict. So we can wait for the counterbalance to trigger, and then we can use the Predict to try and get deeper into our deck. We can't thwart because we don't have enough islands. I've only got 4 minutes left on the clock. Oh no. This is brutal. What have we not cast yet? Brainstorm. I guess we don't really want to put cards into our graveyard either, so we probably should have targeted our opponent. Okay, we have a surgical extraction. That covers us partly, but we're on one land and we're getting beaten down. Now, if we find a plow, we can just turn this around quite nicely. But if they find another fair creature like a Barragoyf or a Orcish Bowmasters or whatever. Alright, let's see what's on the top of our counterbalance. A Vanishment. Alright, let's get rid of this troll. Make sure to take the one in the graveyard that are targeting. Arc of Cruelty, 3 Barragoyfs, 2 more Voidwalkers, Engineered Explosives, which also kills all of our guys if we ever get to that stage. They've just got a Fatal Push in hand. And we get to bounce this, which buys us a turn. It's not nothing. This is where our opponent immediately plays another Wasteland. We've got 4 minutes to grind off of our opponent here. This really has been the most dirtiest, grindiest affair. Oh, what is that? A Predict on top. Oh, that's a very good shout. If we can just get a little bit more land, then we can hopefully get back in the game with a nice Predict. So we've answered their Doughty Voidwalker. They've just got a removal spell in hand. Please don't wasteland me. Alright, a land, that's good. They might have another Undersea Sewers. A Lórien Revealed. Yes, please. We'll get this other Tundra. Again, we can't be wastelanded off colour, so we do need to get non-basics almost all the time here. So they play a spell. Our counterbalance sees it. If we don't want it, we can predict it away. A land enables our thwart. Okay, this enables our thwart to do something. We found stability. Took some doing, but we got there. Now, there's certainly runs of draws our opponents can have. Thoughtseize being something that can really break us up in a big way. But I'll take it. And oh. Alright, we're in it now. Get ready, opponent. You're going to die in 20 turns, or whatever it is. But it is a win condition. We got something. We've got more going on than our opponent. This really has been the lowdown, grindiest league I've played for quite some time. A surgical extraction is on top of our library. I could get rid of that with a Predict and just draw more cards. Honestly, I'm down for that. Gas him back up, triggering our thing. Drawing a Force of Will. All right, we're nearly into the end game of having these 4 Mystic Sanctuaries in our deck. We can obviously brainstorm something on top here. We've got 4s and 5s in hand and whatever's on top that we can rejigger around. A Reanimate. Targeting a Doughty Voidwalker. Let's crack this. I think we're going to get a basic island this time. Let's get our Brainstorm on the go. We don't have a 1-drop that we can put there. That's kind of annoying. I guess we put the Force of Will on top. And then the Mystic Sanctuary is fine. Would we do Plains, then Force of Will? We don't really want to thwart. I think we're just going to counterspell this using the Omen of the Seas. If they Force of Will back, we can deal with that. Daze gets us here, but then we can Mystic Sanctuary, and then we're pretty close. Say no to the trigger on that. We're so close to making our opponent pay 1 black mana for this Fatal Push. Alright, so we have Force of Will blue card in hand. Do we have a Lórien Revealed that can actually get us enough value here? What is the next card down? Is a Plains, isn't it? Okay, I think we're just going to hold this Mystic Sanctuary. In case we need to suddenly pivot and get some removal, we can do that. Thoughtseize. We know the top card is a Plains, so this will resolve. They can take the Thwart, and that takes us off a Force of Will as well. This is the danger of not putting something on top that can maybe counterspell something spooky, but they would need to have Entomb and Reanimate to really get when they need to be here. I took the Thwart, that's the correct one, I believe. Animate Dead, targeting Doughty Voidwalker. Top card of our library does not deal with this. There's definitely some options where we could have played this game slightly differently. We've had so many decisions, that's not really a surprise. All right, so play this. I would like to get back this Swords to Plowshares. So we have an 8/8 now. But our opponent has a 3-turn clock, and they have a removal spell for our 8/8. Have they got another Surveil land they're going to pop off with? Is there anything good in the void that they can get from us, actually? Not really as good as just attacking us for 3, to be honest. Oh, it's only 2, actually. That's kind of a big deal. It's only 2. It means, like, Bowmasters changes the mass a little bit. It's like a whole turn here. All right, they are coming in. We're going to make this open, this Kraken into the Fatal Push, because if they Fatal Push this, they can't hardcast a ForceOfPhil. Do we take 2 more damage here and leave ourselves dead to Brazen Borrower? We forgot to attack there because I was too busy thinking about something. That's really, really bad. All right, I don't want to get hit by Brazen Borrower, so we're going to see if they play on end step. Fatal Push. Let's use this. Lórien Revealed. I will plow this now. Whilst they can't hardcast the ForceOfPhil. And Entomb over the top. Still the Lórien Revealed there. But I like it because it says Lórien Revealed and I'm revealing it. Yeah, the reason we didn't attack this because we automatically assumed it was dead. They've got 1 card in hand and 1 card on the top of their library. If we get to untap, I think we're okay. Otherwise, we are in trouble. Look how thin these margins are and how hard we're having to work for them. 41 seconds on our opponent. Given our opponent only has 41 seconds left, I'm going to just hold up this ForceOfPhil that they know about. A Reanimate. Let's see if the top of our deck helps us out here. Right, we will cast this ForceOfPhil here. We revealed Terminus. So maybe we didn't need to counterspell that, but they draw so many cards. We will not reveal Terminus. Omen of the Seas. Foreshadow in. Let's draw some cards here. They play Bowmasters, we die. That'd be very funny. I think we would have seen Bowmasters by now if they had it. Alright. So we can put a 1-drop on top. I guess that's the scariest thing. Probably this Plow. I don't think I'm going to ponder here. All right, they've got 13 seconds to present a threat and kill us. But I think we actually have this game even if they can't present a threat. Even if they do present a threat, sorry. And then like this game goes on or whatever. All right, we got the GGs and it is game over and league over. All right, it took me 4 hours to record this. Every single game was a 3-ball as well. 3 games every one. We finished with a 2-3. It should have been a 3-2, but we ran out of time where we were in control of the game that we could have won. So I think that is something that we addressed in our later games. We played a lot quicker. We were a lot slower in our first game. So let's talk about the deck. The obvious thing to say here is Ominous Seas is a not good enough Magic the Gathering card. Like, playing this in Legacy is asking for trouble. We saw how often people could deal with it. Maybe we should have been cycling this more than we did, rather than just getting it down. But it felt like because it took so long to build up, and even when we have a lot of control of games, we still need a threat that can win the game relatively quickly. Because if your opponent just has enough hot draws, they can punch through whatever you're doing. If you have the counterbalance, it obviously is a lot better for us. But yeah, that is tricky. So I think there's definitely some things with this deck that I would consider changing around. Do we need Volcanic Island? It is just playing for this Pyroblast and then also for the Prismatic Ending. But what we could do is we could play something like an Underground Sea instead. And instead of having Pyroblast, we could have maybe some sort of different win condition in our deck. So this pile of cards I don't think is what we want to be on. I don't think we need the Conjurer's Bauble either. I understand why it's there. You can kind of just loot stuff, but I don't think it's worth doing. So I think if you were just to cut these 5 cards and replace them with something stronger, the deck automatically becomes better. The Baubles are part of the Predict package, so that makes sense. There's also part of our sort of Xeroxing 17 lands package. That's fine. But I think if these 5 cards just became, I don't know, something relatively castable in game. Like, even if it was just Murktide, that would also be fine, although it's nice having a chock-a-block graveyard that we can get stuff back with. The whole Mystic Sanctuary engine alongside Counterbalance felt really good when we got that up and running. So that, you know, you can still play Miracles, but we're not playing that many Miracles. Maybe we should be playing Triumph of St. Catherine or something. I don't know. It's a lot more relevant as a card. Yes, you do need to set it up, but the downside of not being able to cycle for 2 versus the downside of this not closing a game in any sort of useful fashion, and the lifelink would have been useful in this game, in these games as well. So that's definitely something to think about. But yeah, I think this is the weakest part of the deck, and you could definitely fix this, and it feels like we're playing a real deck. Like, you know, we were controlling people. We were doing it. We were controlling arguably the best deck in the format. Now, we didn't get to play against things like Eldrazi, which I think would be a big tester here. But if we're getting rid of, you know, a couple of blank cards, and then these cards which are kind of blank / redraws, then we end up with something a bit better. Yeah, like, the deck was really fun to play. Lots of intricate decisions. Obviously quite slow playing it, and I had to think a lot. And it's not a deck I want to play much because it's taken me over 4 hours to record this, which is about double the time it takes me to record a normal league. And I'm supposed to be recording a second league today as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the time. Might only have to be half and half to do some today and some tomorrow. Anyway, you don't need to hear about that. So yeah, this deck is really interesting. And if you haven't listened to the Eternal Durdles podcast, go into my description, click it. It's really interesting. You can watch it on like 1.5 speed as well, which I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff on. So it's not even going to take much time out of your day, but it's really worth listening to because there's some really interesting theory crafting that kind of built this up. And it sort of went from back in the day where control decks didn't used to play 4 Ponder. That wasn't a thing. That was like, oh, that's what tempo decks do. That's not what we do. And then the control decks adopted xeroxing like this, and it was much better. And we're kind of just leaning into that. So I think that's definitely something that's worth listening to. I thought it was a really good podcast. I do listen to the Eternal Durdles a lot. I've been on it once as well. But it is really interesting because Phil is very into Miracles still after all these years. And you get some really interesting perspectives on things. So I definitely recommend checking it out and seeing the thought process that went behind building this deck. And now we've done the theory crafting. I've done some of the playing, and we can kind of mesh those two things together and see what works. And, you know, there's definitely some stuff that doesn't work here that I'm not going to keep banging on about. But there's plenty of here that did work. I like the Oust quite a lot. I love some of the little bits of synergy. So you can tell that an absolute miracle lord played this because built this, sorry, because it's got loads of little things that just kind of pop off with what we're trying to do. I think maybe we might need more sweepers if we're looking at playing against Eldrazi and stuff like that just like can put a bunch of guys out or whatever. So there's definitely some other options available. Like from the sideboard, I understand why all the cards are here. If we just had better threats, we wouldn't need this Monastery Mentor. So we could free up 2 sideboard slots by playing 5 good threats. Like even if you wanted to, you could replace these 2 with like Solitude would be fine. And then have these 3 as some sort of durable threat. I don't think we have to worry too much about our threats being really expensive, which was part of the thing of making our whole deck run cheap, because the whole deck runs cheap. So maybe we can have a threat that costs, you know, 3 mana or something is fine. I think we can even play Teferis in this slot is fine, and that really helps us against some matchups as well, and just randomly hoses entire decks occasionally as well. But yeah, replace these 5 slots and run it again. I don't think I'm going to run this again because it takes a ridiculous amount of time. So I hope lots of people watch this video, otherwise it's not really going to be worth my time. But it was worth my time as a lover of Legacy and Magic the Gathering. Alright, thank you so much for joining me on the longest, grindiest control league I've ever played. Alright, please remember to like and subscribe. I really need subscribers after this one. Once again, thank you and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbodepths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbodepths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.